yeah. Good morning, everybody. Welcome in. Ben and Woods, 97.3, The Fan. Best intro on radio. I'll just say it. I'll own that for sure because I believe that it is. Glad to have you guys here with us today. I'm Woodsy. That's Paul Reindl. He's our executive producer. Morning, Paulie.
Good morning.
Got Benjamin Higgins, your friendly neighborhood sports anchor, joins us as well. Good morning, Benjamin.
Good morning. I feel like I took a good night to take a night off last night from sports casting.
Yes.
It almost felt like the day after the All-Star game. It was so quiet.
Very quiet. A lot of NHL action.
There was no NBA last night.
Why'd they do that? Because of the elections?
Election day.
That's kind of cool, letting everybody go out and vote.
Yeah, even though we didn't have an election, at least we're, in my community, there was no election day yesterday. So, but yeah, they said, let's be responsible and not distract people from their civic duties.
Good.
And schedule no games on Election Day.
Yeah, you did have some NHL action last night. I caught a couple highlights on Twitter, but it was a really, really kind of slow sports night. I got a flu shot the other day, and normally, I got the flu shot. I went right to the gym and worked out, right after, because I was like, I don't want to feel any effects. Right, this was Monday.
You feel like if you get your blood pumping, it'll spread it out through your system.
I mean, when the guy gave it to me,
doctor, I'm sure that's very scientifically valid.
Well, he goes, hey, so lots of fluids and get some rest. You might feel a little groggy, and I said, nah, these really never affect me. I just get it and I move on with my day. But I went right to the gym. Man, when I woke up when Hannah woke me up yesterday at 1 a.m. And I struggled to get back to sleep, I just felt achy. All day long. I felt achy throughout the show, did not have a good show, got home, was going to go to the gym yesterday, and I was like, I don't feel good. My eyes were crossing on the drive home. Called Paulie later in the day. I go, dude, when I'm this tired and I'm this achy, I don't feel like doing anything. And I'm like, I've got to parent tonight. I've got to bathe children. I've got to get dinner going. All of this stuff. I had to bite down. And just to get through to bedtime last night, I probably fell asleep last night at 7:30, man. Just out like a light. Didn't feel like I missed anything. Just crashed. I woke up this morning. I was, hello, my baby. Hello, my darling. Feeling fantastic. So now you went to the doctor yesterday. It's always, the older you get, you're a little more nerve-wracked about what's going on. So how did it go?
I was not that nervous because, of my recent weight loss. I felt like this is going to be, let's praise Ben, at the doctor's office. So, yeah, I got there, and it went pretty well. The PA who saw me was impressed with the weight loss, asked some questions, how I did it. Said, your lab work looks really good. I mean, the cholesterol numbers are down in range. Things are looking pretty good. Keep up the good work was essentially the message from the doctor's assistant. Then they did the exam, tap your knees, look in your eyes.
Did they get the...
Turn your head and cough?
She did the PSA test on the lab work, and everything was clear, so they didn't even need to really do anything untoward to me at that point. So she got around and, looked at it. It looks good. She went to my left ear. She looks good. She goes into my right ear, and she goes, Can you hear out of your right ear? And I go, well, I think so. My wife might say no, but I feel like I can hear. Well, there's a lot of wax buildup in there. I mean, it's pretty thickly coating your eardrum. Would you like us to do I don't know what's it called, a navage, a clear out? And I said, yeah, I guess so. If you think I should do it. She said, yeah, it'll only take a few minutes.
I might throw
earwax and maybe.
So I figure I know why. It's the ear that I put my earpiece in for television. So I'm jamming that little plug in there a couple times a day. I'm sure it's compacting the wax deep in there, and so clean it out. So she leaves. The
worst part of her job.
No, the technician that she then gives the job to has the worst job.
Poor person.
Nice young,
attractive.
Young, person who comes in, new, probably lowest on the totem pole in the office, who gets this job, comes in and fills a big thing of warm water and puts a little hydrogen peroxide in there and just said, just hold up this little, it's like a tub so you don't get it doesn't run everywhere.
Uh-oh.
And then takes the big old it's not like a injection syringe, but it's that big plastic one, like a turkey baster syringe. And then just starts, over and over again, just shooting
water.
And I hear this rushing sound, and water falls out. And she goes, didn't really get anything. And does it again.
We're going to need a bigger baster.
Yeah, so we do that about 10 times. She goes, I might need to put some softening drops in there. So she keeps doing it. Finally, after 20 tries, she says, I feel so. I was like, I think I felt something that time.
You jarred something loose in there.
And she says, we got something. And she says, do you want to see it? And my first instinct is no, but morbid curiosity does take over. And I got, okay, what did come out of my ear? And in this tub is, I would say, the size of a large roasted almond.
Oh, my God.
Piece of wax that apparently had been coating my eardrum way deep inside there.
You know how I just said that I was feeling much better today and not achy at all?
I could literally turn into that trash can right there and throw it.
Now I feel like I'm going to vomit.
But now it's gone, and now Woods on yours. I can hear you now on this side where my right ear is now cleaned out.
I'm woozy. Like, it makes me woozy to think about. Well, I'll tell you what I won't do. I'll never eat an Almond Joy again. You have now ruined. Every time I bite into an Almond Joy, I will think about Ben's almond-sized earwax. I may never eat almonds again, and I love almonds. I love them. I don't like them.
I could have said cashew if that would have helped, but
filbert, a size of a filbert, and we would have been.
It wasn't quite a walnut or a pecan. It was an almond size, right there.
Sibunang and the Chets and I barfed. People watch these things. People are saying,
I mean, what's that show? The Pimple Popper show? The people love watching gross medical things happening to other people.
So Kurt says in the chat, and I've heard this, I think this is an urban myth. Kurt says, a doctor told me Q-tips are actually the worst thing for your ears.
I've heard that.
They very well may be, but it's not going to stop me from jamming one in my ear a few times a week.
Well, I mean, if what I'm doing is basically the size of a Q-tip that I jam in my ear, it's actually compacting the wax.
It's making
you got to be careful.
You got to
dig and pull it out, it probably helps. But if you're just pushing it deeper and harder onto the eardrum, that's not good.
I've seen sponsored content, whether it's an ad on YouTube or an Instagram ad for these Q-tips that they almost look like a plastic screw. It's not just the standard Q-tip, but it's the same kind of material. It's maybe more plastic, but it kind of it grabs on and pulls the wax out rather than
Phillips head or flathead for your screw that goes in your ear. It's like a drill.
It's got the coiled plastic, and you put it in there and pull it out, and it's this is how you're supposed to properly clean your ears.
Hannah candled we did candling one time, which is a very weird thing. You lay on your side
and pour the wax.
Yeah, there's this. Back. It's a candle, and you lay on your side.
I can hear that now, Paul. That's funny. I've been missing all this good stuff.
There's this paper thing that covers your ear, right? And she lights the candle, and then you have to lay there, and it burns down into your ear, and then you pull it out. It's pretty disgusting.
Sounds dangerous.
We were pretty bored on a Friday night, and she candled my ears one time.
Have you done cupping before?
Cupping. Yes, I have.
You have done cupping where the suction cups and they put a lighted candle and it sucks your skin up and
it's pretty interesting.
Pulls out the toxins somehow.
Allegedly, yeah. I've done it all. Michael just said he threw his breakfast away. $20 down the drain.
Kyle says maybe now Ben will quit interrupting guests because he can hear them now. Fair enough.
What a rim shot that was, Kyle. Also, happy World Penis Day to you guys. Paulie has that on the...
Did you say peanuts?
No, pianist.
Oh, pianist.
Who's your favorite pianist?
Pianist.
That's what I said.
I see.
Your favorite pianist?
I would go with Stevie Wonder.
Stevie Wonder, probably.
Ray Charles.
Both very nice pianists.
I think being blind and playing the piano is very impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah? I think that's fair. I'm trying to think who my favorite pianist is.
That's Bobby Cressy by far.
Yeah, Bobby Cressy's up there for me.
He's a good pianist.
You will see him at the Christmas and Holiday Extravaganza. I've already booked Bobby Cressy. He's been here the last few years. He really makes the extravaganza. That is going to be happening on December 20th. right? If you'd like to get involved
He's
with
got
that,
a great organ.
one of the best, and he handles his organ very well. If you would like to be involved in the Christmas and holiday extravaganza, reach out, right? Reach out. We are always looking for help, sponsors, if you will. So we want to make this thing bigger and better. We do a 4-hour Christmas show to the newbies out there. You may think that you hate it now, but wait till you hear it. You will love it. You will love it. There is always one or two people that tune in, and they're like, what are we talking about here? We're
Steph
like,
Curry dropped 38 points last night, idiots.
Exactly. And it's like, all right, man, you can hear about that next week. But no, it's going to be a really, really good and big show. We got some great things planned. Speaking of penis, my sons start music class today at School of Rock, both of them. And I
Oh, yeah, we have that one right there in
Right there.
Encinitas
Then
at Encinitas Boulevard and El Camino Real.
We're going there today. They're very, very excited. They both got new guitars. Bo got a guitar for Taylor's birthday. His birthday buddy. That's a new bit that just came up last few years. He was very upset that it wasn't his birthday, and even though his birthday's only a few months away, if you're helpful, you also get a present. So he was very helpful and good, and he got a little Lug is the name of the company, but it's made by Fender, and you actually plug it into the amp. It's a 3-string guitar. He's been plugging into my amp and jamming this Stratocaster. It's incredible. So we're going to take them today to their first class, and this is one of those, like, we want our kids to try a bunch of stuff. This is one that you don't have a choice. You're staying in, and you will thank us for it later. But this is one, I don't want to go. You're going. There's very few things like that. Like if my kid said, Dad, I don't want to play baseball anymore. As heartbroken as I would be, I'd say, no problem. This one, the ability to play music, you're doing it, like it or not. It's like vegetables. It's like fruit. You got to do it. And I'll lord over you until you do it. So today's a big day. I'm excited, taking them both with Hannah. Going to watch them try to figure out what they want to do and what they want to play. They're both very musically inclined. They love music. So I'm just like, this is actually more exciting to me than T-Ball.
As you can imagine, I was never all that musically inclined, even though my mom did make me try to become a pianist because I took piano lessons for a year or two, but didn't really stick for me.
Yeah, and for them, the thing I heard about School of Rock, what they'll do is they'll bring them in, and who knows, man? Taylor could gravitate towards the drums. I hope not.
You're not hardcore.
Unless you live hardcore.
Unless you live hardcore.
I cannot wait for them to go in there, and they let them kind of feel their own way, or maybe they're a singer, maybe a guitar player, whatever.
So get off your act, let's do some math.
So that's today. I'm very, very excited. I think they are too. And yeah, man, it's something that they need to learn. They need to. They'll thank me for it.
I am very excited about our guests today on the show.
What a banger!
We've got
today.
2. One is just one of our oldest and dearest friends, Dennis Dodd, who covers college sports for CBSSports.com. He's a Tier 1, always comes on the show. Lots of fun, and this was a good day for it, given the start of college basketball season and another college playoff rankings coming out yesterday with kind of a light week as we're waiting for baseball news with the San Diego Padres. But wait until...
I am fascinated, by the way, with Dennis Dodd. I'm fascinated about this Michigan stuff.
That's the thing I
we
really...
have not really sunk our teeth into that story.
And more comes out every day. Maybe there's other schools involved. Now Michigan's pointing the fingers. I want to know from Dennis, too, like, how big of a deal is this?
Well, it's like
like the Astros?
There's some people who think it's the biggest deal on earth, and others who completely downplay it. Members of the media saw one national host going, it's like Michigan was going 85 on the freeway, and the other teams are going like 72.
Right.
Yeah, they're cheating, but everyone's cheating. They were just cheating a little bit more. Like, it's not that big of a deal. But what is the true story here? And we haven't really talked about it a lot. So, yeah, that's a good thing. And then at 8:35,
this is great.
Really, really excited about this. Will Venable, associate manager for the world champion Texas Rangers, former Padre, is going to check in, talking about the World Series championship run they just went through, working for Boch, the whole 9 yards. We'll catch up with Will Venable coming up at 8:35 this morning, as Paulie's been chasing him for a while, and seems like a perfect day to have Will join the show.
Can't wait for that, man. Very, very excited. I mean, the World Series champion right there in all the action. There's so much I want to ask Will about. Excited about that. We've got a rabbit hole coming back to you guys today. I'm going to tell you about, well, the Kentucky Cannibal. Something you guys are going to want to hear about late in the show. I found myself in a rabbit hole. I don't know why I was looking at cannibals, but I did, and I'll fill you guys in.
Got more Green Day tickets to give away first,
They
either
won
in
today.
Take on Woods or later in the show if Woodsy wins. And
Incorrect.
we
they
don't.
are just at the end of the show in the 9 o'clock hour.
Never
We're gonna
mind.
give away the Green Day tickets. We do have a month-long.
Oh, we got
Take
Vegas
on
again. Okay, we
Woods
got Vegas to get us
getaway.
back.
Oh,
Very
yes.
good. Very good.
Perfect.
New Vegas trip to qualify for today then.
To go see Luke Bryan.
There we go. And then it's Appreciate Ben Week on our Daily Ditty coming up next.
I got a good one for you. I went the sentimental route.
Thank you.
I did.
Now, I didn't get Appreciation Ben last night. I let the kids decide where to go to dinner. It was just the three of us because Shelly was working. So you know where they wanted to go, and we went back
You did.
to Texas
Texas
Roadhouse
Roadhouse.
Yes!
again. I've got more stories.
Yes.
Coming
yes,
up.
Yes.
We'll be back after a check of traffic out there with Kelly. It's Ben and Woods on a Wednesday morning on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Had to get creative and sentimental. Songs that remind me of Ben. We've already used the original. No idea?
Oh.
You like that? Listen. Don't have to tell you. I love your precious heart. I was standing. You were there. Two worlds collided. And they could never tear us apart.
Oh, careful, sore arms. Thank you, though. That's sweet.
Humble brag.
That's sweet.
Did you rip some curls yesterday?
No, I got shots in both of my arms
all
at the
right.
doctor. Tetanus, flu. I'm like, it's just like you had yesterday.
Prepare to be feeling very crappy
Yeah.
today. You just
hate that
achy.
Groggy,
I was achy
achy.
all day. I hated it. I feel so much better today.
Got it all in there.
Never tear us apart, Benny.
Well, I did have a good meal last night
What
to
did you
offset
have?
the effects. Well, I let the kids decide, and they said, would it be okay if we go back to Texas Roadhouse? Knowing,
when you
what-
start your story with "I let the kids decide," I
Yeah.
know it's either Texas Roadhouse or Olive Garden
Yeah.
is the other one that you
It-
refused to go to.
Yeah, they wanted to go back. And remember last time they had some sort of sound system failure, and Cotton Eye Joe just was blaring like 120 decibels throughout the place.
I just picture Foster poking his head up. You rang?
He's DJing.
Yeah.
They had fixed that issue. I guess I figured, even though the food is delicious, I figured Tuesday night nothing's going on. Place is going to be somewhat dead, right? No. Still the most popular restaurant in San Diego. We got there like 30-minute wait. There's people like sitting all around outside in the parking lot waiting for their tables on a Tuesday night at like 6:15, 6:30.
man.
Place is
Banging.
packed as always. Get
Place
those
to be.
yummy, delicious rolls.
That butter.
Those rolls.
Yeah, very good.
Sex.
That
We get-
cinnamon butter or
Yeah,
whatever.
that little honey cinnamon butter that comes with them, very
my God.
delicious. And I wasn't, I was last time we went, I was still kind of on program, so I tried not to indulge, but I had a couple of rolls this time. They were really good.
I tried not to indulge, but I had a couple of rolls.
Yeah, this time. No, last time I
Oh,
tried not to
last
indulge.
time.
This time I let
Okay.
myself indulge and had a
indulged.
couple of rolls. I indulged. So it was a little calmer. There was one birthday shout out right behind my ear again for the whole restaurant.
And what do they do again?
Which ear were you able to hear?
Give,
Yeah.
give everybody a big yee-haw, from the restaurant.
It is so beneath him. It just is so beneath him.
But what happened this time is that we had trainee waiter serving us. And trainee waiter obviously came to the table with trainer waiter as well. So
Yep.
we had the
The
two
backup.
Yeah.
Shadowing.
Yeah, I think it was Sarah and Anthony. Anthony was training under Sarah. And they were both very nice and very attentive. But when you're trainee waiter, you have to go by the book. And whatever the book says, they want to make sure that you know about your options for whatever you order. So we ordered our dinner, and my son says he's gonna get the filet and the mashed potatoes on the side.
Delicious.
And he asked, would you like cheese on that? Would you like bacon on that? Would you like
On your fillet.
Yeah, no, cheese on the
mashed
potatoes, bacon on the potatoes. Would you like mushrooms and onions on the filet? No. Would you like, just every time. So then I order, and because I indulged in the rolls, I just got the sides plate, a Caesar salad and a baked potato, and that's all. But of course, the baked potato, would you like cheese on that? No, butter and sour cream's fine. Would you like mushrooms and onions on that? Would you like bacon on that? Would you like gravy on that? No, I'm good. And everything had to be there's had to be 17 questions, and he almost felt bad about it, like, this is the training, and I just want to make sure that I get everything right. And I totally understood that. But we must have had to say no.
Nope.
20 to 30 times on possible options. I was afraid to order dessert. I was like, yeah, we'll have the brownie. Would you like onions and cheese on that?
Nuts,
Would you like
gravy
on that? Would you like bacon on that? No, we're good. It's dessert. It's fine. We're good. We'll just as it's listed on the menu sounds delicious to us.
Sounds to me like there are plenty of options.
Lots of options.
I like options. I do. Why didn't you? I guess you didn't know. You could have just said, "I'm going to have the Caesar salad, the baked potato with butter and sour cream only."
I know. I mean, I just said butter and sour cream. I think he felt like to not like lose points in training, he had to go through all the options. Like my son ordered a lemonade. Would you like some strawberry in that? Would you like some blueberry in that? Would you like raspberry in that?
Blueberry.
It was all, they had flavored lemonades. I had an iced tea. Would you like any flavoring in that? Would you like sweetener with that? Would you like a lemon in that? Everything was a separate question on every single item that we ordered.
I can see
efficient.
that being annoying.
Inefficient.
I can see that being annoying. But how was the food?
Food was delicious. It was very good.
You could wrap a turd in those rolls, and you could probably get it down.
Yeah,
because
rolls were
those rolls are
fantastic.
just. The guy, one of the managers there, brought us in some rolls one day, and I was like, "Bro, you're killing!" Like
Tier 1, yeah.
I'm
I brought
always
all warm rolls.
I'm
in here with
always
the butter.
so appreciative of anybody that brings food in, but I'm also like, you're killing me.
You don't have
like,
to do that.
You don't. I mean,
We appreciate it. but
we
you don't have to
appreciate
do
it
that.
so much, but you're really like. I'm trying to be good, and you make it very difficult. But man, they love it. Do they like that place that much, or do they just like driving you nuts?
I'm not sure.
A little bit of both, maybe?
They certainly seemed happy with the food again.
Do you think they
my
look
guess
at
is
each other?
We are going back again at some point.
Do you think that they look at each other like, "Hey, all right, no, I'll do it. No, I'll do it tonight. I'll ask him. I want to see his face." We do that to my dad, like all the time. When we go out to dinner, we'll be like, "I don't know, Dad. A lot of options there," because my dad always does the sit back and the glasses, and he goes, "Oh, I'm torn here. Do you want? What's better, the fish or the chicken?" And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, "Hey, it's whatever you want. Like, why do you want to get what they think is better? Like, if you're in the mood for steak, get steak. If it's fish, get fish."
He's asking the
waiter.
Oh.
Yeah, the server. Like, what do you? I'm like, what I would say is, what are you in the mood for? But man, every time he gets you.
I hate asking the waiter because they'll give you recommendations. But if they're two things like you don't really want, then you feel bad because you just ignored the
I'll just get a
recommendations that
burger.
were made from the waiter.
Do you guys like this when they give you the specials? Do you ever really order the special? I have on occasion. Maybe 10% of the time I order.
I think only
you know
like
what?
once.
The specials, that sounds pretty good. You do the specials?
I do the specials
Do you like
sometimes.
to hear the specials?
Yeah, you know, there's some places where the specials truly are special.
Right.
Like, we got a really great piece of fish in. It's the special today. I really recommend it.
Yeah, yeah.
There's other places where the specials are, we need to get rid of this and let's turn it into a special.
Be
because
wary of
we
the
are-
special.
So sometimes you have to be wary of the specials, but sometimes they truly are special. Like the chef was struck by inspiration and great ingredients and created something that's better than anything else on the menu. So that is a dilemma sometimes when it comes to specials at restaurants.
Yeah.
We
We have some old fish we want to get rid of.
like when I have a reservation on the books for a couple of weeks or something, anniversary, birthday dinner, something like that. Like we just went to Rare Society over the
Oh,
weekend.
that place is bomb.
It was amazing. I knew what I was getting
When you walk through the door.
3 days
Yeah,
before we
of
walked
course.
in. I looked
Oh,
at the
do-
menu,
I do that too.
went online, I
do
said,
that
I'm getting
too.
this, we're gonna get these sides.
Yep,
like,
and you know.
And I didn't come in and just be like, I want this, 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 and this. Like we enjoyed the entire experience and we were not in a rush. But when she was explaining some of the stuff on the menu, I'm like, that's great. I want the ribeye.
Wrap it up. Is that mine? Who is that?
That was you dinging. You're dinging. That means we got to take a break, actually. We will come back. If you were following social media yesterday, you'd be convinced that there's a new leader for Padres manager 2024. I don't know if that's truly the case, but there was a lot of momentum for one of the candidates yesterday,
Well-
all over my timeline.
Did the president of Mexico help that case?
It may have endorsed someone, and I don't think it was Ryan Flaherty either. We'll get to that coming up next with Ben and Woods. This hour of Ben and Woods is brought to you by Smart and Final. Score a Turkey Day touchdown when you shop your whole feast in one trip, and that's it at Smart and Final. Use promo code SFThanks for free delivery on your next order. Back with some Padres talk next year with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan. The Upper Hand Fantasy Podcast brings you the latest news and player insights to help you win and avoid embarrassing league punishments. In-depth analysis, start-sit questions, and everything you need for your fantasy team. Download Upper Hand Fantasy on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcast. We're at the stage where either you're driving for the playoffs in your fantasy league and victory, or you're just trying to avoid the last place punishments because it hasn't gone well for you.
We're at the stage that I just had to pick up Russell Wilson to start a game for me at quarterback because Jalen Hurts is on bye. That's the stage that we are at right now.
Bye weeks can be
brutal,
tricky,
very brutal.
In fantasy
my team
league.
sucks so bad, so bad. But nobody cares, and I know that.
So, is it possible that an endorsement by the president of Mexico will actually have an impact on the Padres managerial search? We will get to that right after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Air Max, San Diego's highest-rated heating and air conditioning company. Well, no big surprises on our roads at this time. We do have a stalled transit bus, though, on the eastbound King Freeway. Just before the 15, it's taken up that fast lane. And some debris in the right lane, eastbound 78, just before El Camino Real. Looking for the best in HVAC? Choose Air Max, San Diego's highest-rated heating and air company, with free diagnostics on all repairs and estimates. See why over 1,100 happy customers have given Air Max 5-star Yelp reviews. See Air Max today at airmax.com. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Yeah, so if you... Oh, there he is.
Los dueños de los Padres de San Diego, que están buscando manager. Y el manager nuestro, que obtuvo por primera vez tercer lugar en la competencia nacional de béisbol mundial, Benjamín Gil, es de primera.
That's a pretty big endorsement there, I would say.
AMLO, Andrés Manuel López Obrador, the president of Mexico, was given a speech, some sort of crisis spot that he was at, and just kind of brought up the fact that Benjamín Gil, is one of the managers being considered for the open job by the San Diego Padres. You actually didn't need much translation to know what he was talking about in that clip. Now, my first instinct is, well, I mean, AJ Preller is not going to care what the president of Mexico has to say. He's going to hire the person he thinks is the right person for the job, whether it's Benji Gil or not. But as I started thinking about it a little bit more, I do feel like the attention that he just put on the managerial search, especially south of the border, is something you can't ignore if you're AJ Preller. You can't simply completely dismiss it out of hand. Because if you hire a manager who's not Benji Gil and you didn't look like you gave him a fair shot, due diligence, all of a sudden you're facing a lot of backlash from an entire, a part of the world where you're trying to cultivate a fan base south of the border, Mexico's team, everything like that.
And you've done a good job doing it to this point.
Yeah. So you can't ignore the fact that he is now being talked about south of the border. However, I also feel like it might actually make it harder to hire Benji Gil in the long run, because then you feel, now we've hired him. Now all the attention is going, because of this, an entire country is going on there. And if it doesn't work out, you feel even more trapped on your choice because you did it. I don't know if it affects it or not, but
I don't think it does. And again, you're not hiring him because he's Mexican. You're hiring him because he's qualified for the job, interviewing in other places, been around the game as a professional player, as a well-respected manager for Team Mexico. That's why you're hiring him. He just happens to be Mexican. And I think, again, we talked about it, probably too much to this point. He's the one candidate out of at least the four that have been named that I went, okay, now we're talking. Like, that to me, because of our city, because of its culture, because of the team, because of the City Connect uniforms, because of some of the Latin players we have on this team, this feels pretty badass to me, right? It just does. It feels like, okay, this gives us a little bit of an edge. He's an edgy guy. Like, he's an edgy type manager. I think Mike Schilt has a little bit of edge to him. Don't know too much about Flaherty. I know David Ross. He's been painted with a few different brushes in Chicago. Some people painted him as like Jesse Rogers, as a made man in Chicago because of the World Series win. How's that working out in New York with Aaron Boone? Right? Like, oh, he's a made man. He hit the big home run. I mean, they're terrible, right? So I think David Ross gets painted as a clown sometimes. He also gets painted as kind of the buffoon that doesn't know how to manage a bullpen, is something I saw a lot from Cub fans. I think with Benjamin Gil, I think that is a very, very exciting candidate.
Let me go back to the president of Mexico for just 1 second, because politics in Mexico are very polarizing, just like they are here. Can you imagine if all of a sudden, randomly, Donald Trump said today, I think Mike Schilt should be the manager of the Padres.
Yeah, it's wild.
And his base then started like flooding the Padres. You got to hire Mike Schilt. And then Joe Biden, for some reason, said, no, Ryan Flaherty needs to be manager of the Padres.
It's pretty wild.
All of a sudden, can you imagine the kind of like attention that would be focused in on the Padres managerial search from non-sports media all over the place? That kind of, I mean, in a smaller extent, obviously, because it's another country, but that is a little bit of what happened earlier this week when, Obrador kind of put that spotlight on Benji Gil to be manager of the Padres. I don't ultimately think it's going to impact AJ's decision. I really don't. But it certainly had a ripple effect on my social media channels yesterday. All of a sudden, it felt like Benji Gil was the favorite to be manager.
Yesterday it did, yeah.
I don't know that is actually the case, that Benji Gil has passed Mike Schilt or Ryan Flaherty to become the new favorite in the clubhouse, but it certainly felt that way, that the talk had changed from, it's probably going to be Schilt or Flaherty, to looks like there's a lot of momentum building behind Benji Gil. And you wouldn't be surprised if all of a sudden, the Padres name him as their new manager. I don't know if that's true or not, but it certainly was the narrative that was going around a lot yesterday.
Well, and one of the other narratives I saw from all of the hubbub yesterday was, well, if it's not him, now I'm going to be disappointed. And I have felt that. I did. I was like, oh, I get that too. It ultimately, whoever is named, you're going to have to step back and say, well, this will be interesting to watch the dynamic between this person and AJ Preller. As I said last week, it is an interesting scenario that we have here in San Diego, where really priority one is how do you coexist with the general manager in San Diego? Maybe that's a false narrative, maybe not, but history has told us to this point, that's a real thing. So if that's criteria number one, expect Schilt or Flaherty. If it's not an important criteria, maybe expect Benjamin Gil.
A managerial search, though, is not a horse race. It's not a baseball game. When Mike Schilt is said to be the favorite going in, it's not as though, and they had the interview and, well, he lost his lead, but then now he's rallying in the late innings. But here comes Gil right on his heels. Here comes Ryan Flaherty. That's not how it works. AJ Preller will make this decision. He already has some preconceived notions. Probably the stuff that he already knew going into the search is going to carry a lot more weight than what one or two answers to a question in an interview is going to change his mind at this stage.
I may disagree with you just a little bit, and basically it's because of Andy Green. Didn't we hear that there were other qualified candidates, but Andy Green absolutely knocked his socks off in the interview? That happens, I think.
No,
I think that happens.
It can. I bet he was impressed by Benji Gil, and that may be keeping this decision going on a little bit longer. But it doesn't change the fact that Mike Schilt has been in the organization the last couple of years, has worked with AJ, knows the players, knows the guys in the minor leagues, has worked closely with Fernando Tatis Jr. None of that gets taken away during the interview process. That's all
exactly
still
right.
there and does not change the equation as they're making this decision.
Yeah, I mean, my DMs are flooded every day with like, dude, are you hearing anything? And I got to be honest with you, man, nothing. I'm hearing nothing out of that camp. So good job down at Petco Park, keeping everything kind of under wraps at this point. I had heard early on, that Mike Schilt was definitely the favorite. And I don't know that that's changed in 10 days or so, but that is something I heard, that Mike Schilt is probably going to be the guy. But things can absolutely change. And, look, this is I want to say this is an important hire from AJ. I do. I want to say that with conviction. I don't know that I believe it. That, man, this is kind of make or break. I thought it was broken already. So I thought, yes, it is important, but is this make or break for him? I don't know.
I said this, I don't know, last week, maybe 2 weeks ago, that it feels like a bigger deal right now because we're in it. It's the managerial search.
Sure.
It's the story right now. It's the story of the offseason, perhaps. The 2024 Padres story will be told by whatever roster is put together. And by the way, there are a lot of areas that need to be addressed on said roster. I don't think the manager has as much of an impact on the team as maybe we're building up in the offseason talk right now. I think if the guys go out and hit with runners in scoring position,
he'll look like a genius.
That's not because of the manager,
right,
good or bad. Ben could manage the Padres. If they're hitting with runners in scoring position with the team that we had assembled, anybody would have looked
It's
good.
the team that we have assembled now, though, that looks today vastly different than it did last year. With, exceptions with right now, at least the big three guaranteed to come back, maybe the big four. So
yeah, I mean, the lineup looks almost identical to last season at this moment.
Now today, yeah.
The pitching rotation that is going to likely look incredibly different. And, I did some work on this the other day. Padres were second in baseball in team ERA last year. It's like 3.57. You expect them to take a step back. I mean, unless a miracle happens here. The depth, probably not going to find someone to replace. Even if you kept Michael Wacha and Seth Lugo, chances are they may not have as good of a seasons as they had last year this year. So you've got to expect some regression, back toward the middle, even the bottom of the pack. However, if it makes anyone feel better, even if the Padres went from second to 28th in baseball in earned run average, like from the top to near the bottom, a full run more, like if they had a 4.57 ERA, it really wouldn't have impacted a lot of their games because they lost so many of those close games and won so many games by multiple runs. A full run worse on ERA would have only probably cost them a very small handful of games over the course of the season. You could make that up with better hitting with runners in scoring position, coming through more often, winning some close games. You could easily make up some regression in pitching by hitting the way these guys were expected to hit and coming through with more runs when you thought they were going to come through with more runs.
Yeah, it's really interesting when you say it like that to basically say our pitching, as great as it was, didn't win us a hell of a lot of ball games because of the very high run differential, the 10-1, the 10-2, the 10-3 wins that were seemingly a few times a week. Yeah, you win those games probably. If you hit like that, you win those games
and
with
all those
Matt
close
Waldron on the
games
mound.
that you lost, if you had given up one more run, you still would have lost
it
by 2 instead of 1 now. So the pitching was not what cost the Padres a lot of games. It was the lack of offense in those close games that really kept the win total down in the 2023 season. They need to step up in those situations, hitting with runners in scoring position,
a big way,
coming through, having those the big 3 or 4
productive at
have
bats,
productive seasons in the right moments, and the Padres could actually be pretty good next year, even with an average pitching staff. That was kind of the plan last year. We all went in going, hey, if they can just be kind of a middle-of-the-road pitching staff, this offense is going to be so good. And instead, you had this pitching staff that was so good and an offense that turned out to be middle to bottom of the pack because of the lack of runners in scoring position offense.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So we'll see. I mean, there's a ton of names out there. Ruben Niebla, I do not envy him at all right now based on, people that are potentially rumored to come here, guys that are out there. He's going to have his work cut out for him. Every pitching coach does, but you're really going to have to spend some magic out of Petco Park this year. But again, if the offense does what they're supposed to do, you feel like you're in most games. You like the lineup. You do. There's some holes in there, no question. But you like the lineup. You like the guys you got at the top. needs more balance, period.
By the way, I have decided it's Benjamin Heel or Benji Heel, not Gil, because I don't say Jose, I don't say Juan. It's a soft in Spanish. That's how you pronounce it. So from now on, at least until he tells me
Heel.
Otherwise, it's Benji Heel or Benjamin Heel.
Got it.
So
I'm down with that.
That's how I'm going forward. People are talking about the pronunciation in the chat. All right, we'll tell you about our new getaway to Las Vegas. Brand new prize for Take on Woods coming up next year on 97.3 The Fan. Going to get into some of the audio from the general managers' meetings yesterday. Maybe you don't do this with Brian and Cashman.
I don't know.
Of the Yankees.
I don't know if you could have a worse appearance in front of the media than Brian Cashman had yesterday. Contentious, defensive. He got absolutely owned by some of the reporters and writers there for the Yankees.
It's that tough New York media.
It got heated.
Well, it was Scottsdale media, apparently. I mean, I'm sure some of them were from New York, but yeah, it was horrible. You couldn't have. I know AJ Preller catches a lot of grief for his media appearances, and I think that's warranted. It led me to think, would I rather have that than would I rather have AJ Preller and his non-answers, or like AJ Preller defending every horrible move he's made? And like, people looked at Brian Cashman yesterday, Ben, and they said, "Oh, so you're like gone. Like you're now, you've lost it. Like you clearly don't see that you're a problem." AJ at least verbally took responsibility.
Correct.
Even though, he's not the one who ultimately lost his job or anything, at least verbally he said at the end of the season, "Hey, my team, I put it together. You are what your record says you are." And
Exactly.
that's not the direction that Brian Cashman went yesterday.
I can't wait to play this for you guys. It's absolutely riveting audio. It was riveting audio. He like turns and gets kind of in a reporter's face a little bit. So we'll find all the choice nugs from that and play those for you.
So, yeah, they do have some meetings with the media there in Scottsdale. As we talked about yesterday, there are actual meetings that they're going to. Yeah, Ballroom 7, the discussion on the pitch clock, the discussion on the automated strike zone. They're busy. Their schedules are filled during the day while they're there, and it's led to possibly a bit of a pause in the Padres managerial search. I mean, you don't really expect the Padres to name a manager while AJ's on the road in Scottsdale, I think. That's why you had a bunch of them were done a few days ago before they started those meetings.
The problem is, though, if you have guys that it leads me to believe that they don't know what they want, right? Because the longer you wait, you do run the risk of another team swooping in. I don't know how much demand there is for Schilt or Flaherty. Or David Ross, or Ben,
at least with Schilt and Flaherty,
Heel.
they would have to grant permission, right?
I would think so, yeah, because they're both here and under contract, right? So you do run that risk, though, of another
if they wanted
team.
Buck Showalter, he could take the Brewers' job today.
Correct.
I look at it this way. AJ may have already made up his mind. Perhaps they're even in negotiations or in agreement with someone with their agent on a contract, but they've asked to say, "Hey, let's keep it on the down low because we can't really announce it today. Because once we announce it, everyone's going to expect what?
Press conference
to introduce the new manager." Well, they're not going to do it in Scottsdale, and AJ we know is in Scottsdale for I think until at least the end of tomorrow. So you kind of have to wait until at least tomorrow night or Friday to say something, and you don't want to do it on a Saturday. So it's either probably going to be announced late Thursday, and then he comes back and does a press conference on Friday, or you hear it maybe on Sunday, and there's a press conference on Monday or Tuesday. Yeah, I don't think anything is going to be announced today because the logistics of it, unless, someone leaks loose lips, sink ships, and someone leaks something, and all of a sudden Jeff Passan has it, then you can't really avoid it. But right now, it doesn't make a lot of sense to make an announcement on a manager when you can't do anything about it for a couple of days because you're not in town. You're in Scottsdale at the meetings. You're not going to introduce your new manager in Scottsdale. You're going to do it at Petco Park in front of the local media where we can show up and Sammy can be there and Mud and Don and everyone gets there for the introductions and Eric Grupner will be there. You're not going to do it when AJ's in Scottsdale. So, yeah, it's kind of in that sense – the news is on hold for a couple of days here while those general managers meetings go on in Arizona.
Yeah, it's going to be I think you're right, man. It could be Friday, could be even next week. So I know that, there are people out there that are impatient. I'm one of them. I'd like to get it going and give us something to talk about instead of speculate about. I'd love to hear, whoever it is. I can't wait for the opening press conference. It's their, real shot at either winning over the media or leaving people scratching their heads when you talk about managing games in your mind. The media, we are good at taking little nuggets and running with them. So whoever it is, Ben, better knock it out of the park. But you're right. Probably best to do it at Petco Park. You do the full-on, here's your jersey and, do the press conference there.
We need a contestant for Take
Buttons
on
on
Woods.
right.
Buttons on right. Yeah, exactly.
We've got a new prize for the month of November. It has come in, so this is your first chance to qualify for a 2-night stay at the fantastic Resorts World Las Vegas, one of the newest, maybe the newest big-time mega hotel on the Strip, plus 2 tickets to superstar Luke Bryan. He has announced his final shows of his record-breaking Las Vegas headlining engagement at Resorts World Theater. 5-time Entertainer of the Year, has fans on their feet in a high-energy electric performance that features only in Las Vegas production elements. Final show dates run December 29th through January 6th. Tickets are on sale now at rwlasvegas.com, but you can win that trip and the tickets by beating or tying Woods. We'll put you into our qualifying drawing at the end of the month if you can do so, but you got to call in now, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We'll play our game in just a couple of minutes. Is this Luke Bryan? Dennis Dodd will join us at the bottom of the hour, and then don't forget, 8:35, Will Venable, associate manager to Bruce Bochy of the Texas Rangers, world champion, former Padres outfielder, is going to be with us at 8:35 for a conversation I am very much looking forward to coming up here in just over an hour.
Yeah, so. I'm very excited about that as well. Lot to ask him about. Lot to talk about. We were kicking it around the other day, interviewing to be a manager. I'd really love to know what that entails. Like, what does that actually entail? Do they do scenarios? And has Will interviewed to be a manager before?
I know he's been asked. I do believe he
declined.
He declined at least a couple. Now, he may have secretly interviewed for some jobs that we don't know about, and I may ask him about that a little bit. I'm not sure how much he wants to reveal there.
I'd love to do a mock interview with a GM just to see what it would really truly be like and how bad I would stumble all over myself.
I would think that it would be harder to separate baseball candidates than, say, a football head coach interview.
This is my offensive scheme.
Yeah.
This is my defensive scheme.
Yeah, we're gonna run this. We're gonna do some up tempo here.
Right.
I like, the plan here will be on defense. Culturally, here's kind of how I see us setting things up. I've got some plans for training camp and how that's gonna work. And you can talk about that a lot. In baseball, it's tough. Let's be honest. As much as we celebrate people who think outside of the box, in baseball, you can get swatted down pretty quickly for thinking too far outside the box.
No question about it.
You have to. It's great to be innovative and make changes, but you got to be subtle about it sometimes. You got to have a little sugar with the medicine when you're making changes in baseball, because there is always going to be that old school element that's like, I don't know about this. He's come in, and we're going to do spring training completely differently this year. There's no more PFP. You have to do kind of the same things that everyone else is doing, and then sneak in things like the high-velocity pitch training and some of the new elements that are added to it. Make it kind of fun and interesting for the players.
Well, some of the stuff that the Rangers did, when they took on the Astros, and how they were swinging, inches over the ball because of Valdez and his fastball, right? Like all of those things, and these are all things we can ask Will Venable about. They prepared very well, very, very well, and ended up winning a World Series. So that's the fascinating stuff about baseball. But I would love to have a GM say, all right, this is kind of what we do, and to actually do a mock interview. Would they actually ask you about scenarios in a game? Like in Little Big League. Remember that movie, Little Big League? They put that kid through the ringer.
Yeah.
And he knocks it out
knew
of the
all
park.
the answers.
Yeah.
But if you don't know those answers, I guess it would be disqualifying. But you don't need to ask like 70 of them.
Right.
Once you realize, all right, he knows how baseball works.
Would he be in there if he didn't?
Exactly. Would you get to this point where you even need to check on it at this? I don't know. All right, we got a contestant on the line. Let's play. It's time for Take on Woods. All right, Woods is just a part of the studio. Jason enters the chat. Good morning, Jason. How are you?
I'm fine.
All right, I just read the prize, so we'll just get right to it. If you can beat or tie Woods in our 5-question musical trivia challenge, put you into the drawing for November for Las Vegas, and we'll even let you choose the category here. Your choices: dress to the nines. Those are 5 musical answers that include the number 9. Knock Knock, 5 songs with knock or knocking in the title. Or I Want More. That would be 5 songs with the word more in the title. So, Jason, Dressed to the Nines, Knock Knock, or I Want More. What would you like to play?
Let's go Dressed to the Nines.
Dressed to the Nines. Been sitting there for a while. Okay, today we're looking for 5 musical answers, so that could be song titles or artists that include at least one number 9 somewhere in there. You'll have 60 seconds to get as many of the 5 as possible. You don't know one or it's at the tip of your tongue, you can always pass. We'll come back to it if there's time left on the clock. First question is our 2-second song. Paulie's going to play some music. You need to give me the title and the artist to score that point. So, Jason, you ready to play?
Let's go.
Let's do it. 60 seconds on the clock. Category Dressed to the Nines. Your time begins when Paul plays the music. Good luck, Jason. Let's take on Woods.
99 Left Balloons by Nina.
Correct. Dolly Parton got both Oscar and Grammy nominations for which 1980 hit from her Office comedy movie co-starring Jane Fonda and Lily Tomlin?
And Dabney Coleman.
Yes.
9 to 5.
Correct. The iconic logo for which band features both the letter N and the mirror image of the letter N?
9 Inch Nails.
Correct. The second verse of which 2000 hit by Jay-Z describes his real-life traffic stop in New Jersey when he got away with having cocaine in a secret compartment in his sunroof.
99 Problems.
Correct. Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends is the iconic beginning to which Emerson, Lake, and Palmer classic that features a play on words in the title.
Oh, God. Come on, I wanted to be perfect today. Oh, God. Why can't I use the stupid name of that song? Oh, God. What is That's my last one, right?
It is, and the time is up. You got the 4. That's a good score on this category. The one you didn't get, Emerson, Lake, and Palmer, is Carnival 9 is the name of that song. You got 99 Loof Balloons, 9 to 5, 9 Inch Nails, and 99 Problems. Hang on the line, Jason. This could be interesting today.
Could be good.
This could be interesting. I think it might hold up. We'll see. All right, Woods does not get the category. He comes back in. Going cold. Jason's score is locked in. Your time begins when Paul plays the music. Good luck, Woods. Let's take on Jason.
99 Luft Balloons by somebody. Pass.
Dolly Parton got both Oscar and Grammy nominations for which 1980 hit from her Office comedy movie, co-starring Jane.
9 to 5?
Correct. The iconic logo for which band features both the letter N and the mirror image of the letter N.
9 Inch Nails?
Correct. The second verse of which 2004 hit by Jay-Z describes his real-life traffic stop in New Jersey when he got away with having
99 Problems.
Correct. Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends is the iconic beginning to which Emerson, Lake, and Palmer classic that features a play on words in the title.
Nine Taints.
Go back to our 2-second song.
99 Luft Balloons by, I want to say Nina Cherry, but that's not it. Is that right? It's not right.
It's not right.
Did I lose?
You did. 4-3. Congratulations,
Wow.
Jason. It's just Nina. N-E-N-A.
Oh, God.
I can't give it to you, though.
Can't give it
I
to
can't
me.
give it to you. You didn't even really say the answer. So
I said Nina Cherry.
yeah, but you didn't say the answer. I'm giving it to Jason. An outright win today. Congratulations, Jason. Hang on the
What
line.
was the Emerson, Lake, and Palmer?
Carnival 9. Carnival 9
No idea.
is, you know the song, though.
Probably, but I have no idea.
Congratulations. You get a daily Diddy pick as well tomorrow if you'd like, Jason. So Paulie will get all your information during the break. And right in, the winning streak is over with a new prize for Vegas on the line.
Have fun at Luke Bryan.
Dressed to the Nines was the category there.
I have not lost
9
in
in all
so
the answers.
long. Number 9. I have not lost in so long.
It has been a while.
Damn it.
All right, congratulations, Jason. We'll get to that Brian Cashman audio coming
So
up and
good.
Don't Do This from the
And bad.
GM meetings in Scottsdale coming up next. We'll be back after a check of traffic here with Bennett Woods on 97.3 The Fan. All right, let's get right to it because we got a couple of chunks of audio we
Yes.
want to play with Don't Do This today. It's going to be our focus of this segment. Brian Cashman of the New York Yankees.
Dude goes out yesterday and does a little media scrum. A scrum, for those of you that don't know, is when the media gathers around and they pepper him with questions.
Not at an official podium press conference scenario, but more of an informal gathering of the media around a subject.
So he talks about in this first clip everybody saying that he and Aaron Boone are too married to analytics in baseball.
And I think it's been put out there. So people talk about we're analytically driven, right? Do you know we're the least large? We have the smallest analytics department in the American League East.
Oh,
Is that a shocker to you guys? We have the largest pro
that a
scouting
flex?
department
Is
in
that
all of
flex?
baseball. Is that a shocker to you? To everybody? Shouldn't be. We're the
Stop.
he thinks that he's doing something there, and I think you're the New York Yankees. You've got more money than feels like you used to have more money than you knew what to do with, and now your general manager is saying, "Hey, listen, we barely spend any money on analytics at all."
I get that there's been a bit of a backlash to analytics, but a really an effective translation of what Brian Cashman just said was, people think we're smart, but we're not. We're not. Don't make that mistake.
In
We
fact,
are
you
not
thought-
as
you
smart
thought we were smart, right?
as you think that we are.
We don't spend money on things like analytics. When the general manager in 2023, by the way, he's got some skins on the wall, certainly. It's been a long time. That being said, that's not the flex that you think it is.
Or people think we're doing everything possible we
To
can
win.
to win. We're not.
We're not.
Don't make that mistake. We're definitely not doing that.
So he got dragged for that quote. New York media this morning they were
Manna from heaven.
salivating. People were saying they're going to talk about this for decades to come. That's how much it resonated in New York. Joel Sherman, Ben, I think we've had Joel on the show before. Really, really good reporter. He and Cashman. All right, listen. You got to listen intently for Sherman's question.
Maybe you're making a
Well,
point
I'm
on behalf
watching
of
other young
others.
players come up and succeed in the major leagues. Am I missing the young players who are coming
that Joel
up
Sherman?
With the
more
Yankees.
offensively?
No, Brian, with the Reds.
So you're saying that we can't produce major.
I'm not saying you can't. I'm asking. You described it as indisputable. I'm asking you where, ultimately.
But the example you want to say right now is Volpe, I guess, and Cabrera. Those are the two, right?
Pereira,
Peraza.
Like if they were performing, they would have kept getting more at bats. They didn't perform, and they didn't.
But Peraza's not getting everyday reps. He's
Right.
got Glaber, he's got Volpe now, he's got LeMahieu. Prior to that was Donaldson. There was not a lane for him to even play. So I don't even know why you used Peraza.
Oh, God.
Well, these are your young players.
I understand that, but he's got to have a spot to play for you to be able to use
Well,
his
if he
name.
would have hit, he would have played more.
Pause.
He didn't hit.
So, again, talking about, I think it's Oswaldo Peraza, up-and-coming prospect, and they're like, but you said that you guys are great at developing and getting guys to the big leagues. Brian, you're also the guy that signed LeMahieu and an aging Josh Nutt. You blocked them. If you're so confident in them, you're the guy that brought the other guys in to block them from getting ABs.
So he didn't play more, right?
Well, where's he going to play?
Well, if he hit, he would have played.
Who would he, if he hit? Like, this is Abbott Costello. If he hit, who's he taking out? LeMahieu at third? Is he taking out Volpe at short? Is he taking out Glaber Torres, who was one of the best second basemen in the American League last
If you
year?
want to win, you're going to play the guys who are hitting. If he hit, he would have played, right?
I guess if he hit better than Volpe, he would have played shortstop, and he would have won the thing out of spring training. But Volpe won it out of spring training. I think it's a stupid discussion that we're having personally. I think our player development system, all that matters from my end to you is I think our player development system does a great job. You're questioning whether it does. That's your job to do. Proof will be in the pudding. Let's see how. So if Volpe comes up crushing it this year, are you going to be like, hey, I guess their development system does produce hitters?
I reviewed the movies in front of me. The movies this year weren't good.
Okay,
if
so
the
then
movies are good next year, we'll have a different discussion.
All right, and then I can hear you say, you know what? Remember last year? I look forward to that. I look forward to you telling me that when Volpe crushes it offensively this year for us, that you'll say, hey man, I guess your development program did a good job. And it was just sea legs under him his first maiden voyage year with not much AAA under his belt. I mean, I feel it's pretty basic.
It's so contentious. It's so again, I listened to it and I found myself going, I could see us getting in that discussion with a general manager. AJ's not going to go there.
He's not
just
contentious like that.
He's not at all. I kind of sometimes wish that he was, right? Like, because that's, look, as tense as it is, that's a conversation. That's a conversation. It did feel like Brian Cashman, which he's going to do as the general manager. He's going to defend his moves. He's going to defend his actions. Would it have been better, Ben, for him to come out and go, you know what? We've got to do a better job. We've heard that a million times. We got to do a better job at developing. You're right. It kills it right there. But when you defend and defend and defend, and the numbers that are backing up that these kids just weren't very good, then that's a kind of a bad
Joel
look.
Sherman wasn't being unfair.
I don't think so at
and
all.
Brian Cashman is not totally wrong. It's not, some guys to take a little more time to develop. And Joel is comparing, hey, look at the Ellie De La Cruzes in the world, the other organizations who are coming up. Corbin Carroll instantly having an impact in the big leagues. And your guys are not doing that. Why not? What's going on? And Brian Cashman, well, they might next year. Well, yeah, they might. And then we'll have a totally different discussion. But as Joel said, I can only review the movie that's in front of me.
That's
and
it.
the one that we saw this year was not very good. We could have the same discussion with A.J. Preller.
We could.
And next year it could be a completely different discussion. But we can't just assume, well, next year's going to be better or different. We're reviewing the movie we just saw. Wasn't a very good movie for the Padres season as well. So the guy who made the movie, the director, the executive producer, which, by the way, is AJ and AJ, didn't do a very good job. He's not up for any Academy Awards this year for the movie that he put out in theaters downtown at Petco Park.
Yeah, it's exactly right, man. So really, really fascinating stuff. And again, the reactions from New York media this morning on the morning shows. And they actually, at one point, he started it off and he said, I think this team's pretty effing good. Michael Kay, Ben, actually thought that was he was getting trolled because he didn't see it. He was, I guess, preparing for a show or whatever. It was happening at the same time. And he didn't mention that quote because he thought it was one of those fake responses.
Right.
For the general manager of the New York Yankees to come on and say, I think we're pretty effing good, is a rough look for them. So, yeah, that took up most of Don't Do This because it was so fascinating.
We did all do this yesterday. So just play DJ Mega Doo-Doo for all the kids in the car.
DD Mega Doo-Doo.
DD Mega Doo-Doo.
DD, yeah.
And we'll save some time for Dennis Dodd.
Excited.
Who can talk about the other story that's been in Don't Do This, the Michigan sign stealing scandal, and a weird twist. Did you see the vacuum cleaners?
Sure did.
Yesterday.
Sure did.
How do vacuum cleaners relate to the Michigan sign stealing scandal in the Big Ten?
It's as weird or weirder than the Astro stuff. Remember the tattoo? Remember Jose Altuve, don't rip off my shirt. We've heard all kinds of things, and it's getting very weird.
All right, our friend Dennis Dodd from CBS Sports is going to join us coming up next with Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Primetime NFL games are available free from Westwood One and live here on 97.3 The Fan and on the Odyssey app. Tomorrow, listen to the Panthers and Bears. Next Monday, Broncos and Bills right here on 97.3 The Fan at 4:30, or you can just download that Odyssey app and search for 97.3 The Fan at kickoff. We're going to talk some college football in just a second. Dennis Dodd from CBS Sports going to get us caught up on the Michigan scandal. We got new college football playoff rankings. Came out yesterday as well. We'll get to that right after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Got a crash in the North County, southbound side of the 15. This is just before Deer Springs Road. Motorcycle involved. It's got the fast lane blocked. Also, South 15, just past the King Freeway. Collision involving a couple vehicles. That's over to the right shoulder. Anybody lose a shopping cart? Got one on southbound 5 right before the Coronado Bridge. It's in the fast lane. Now getting reports of a solo spin out westbound 8 just past College. That's over to the right shoulder. And Kelly Danick with Venable, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
So what do vacuum cleaners have to do with sign stealing at the University of Michigan? I'm not sure. I'm not sure that Dennis Dodd can explain it either, but he does join us right now on Ben and Woods. Dennis, it is always great to have you on the program. How have you been doing?
Overwhelmed. I would love to cover some football. How about that?
Football would be good.
Right.
Between realignment, between this silliness at Michigan, it's not going to get... it's going to get thicker before it gets thinner. Probably see a lawsuit, but it's been a weird year to cover college football.
You know, Dennis, and it's been hard to sift through the truth. It's been hard to sift through the accusations. Yeah, and it reminds me, and a lot of people, of the Astros scandal. We had just started as a show when the Astros stuff broke. And to say we were shocked was an understatement. We spent a lot of time on it. We haven't really, with this Michigan scandal, as it were. How big of a deal, if everything that's being reported is true, how big of a deal is this truly for Michigan?
Well, if Jim Harbaugh's name wasn't attached to it, if the Big Ten's name wasn't attached to it, if Michigan's name wasn't attached to it, and really a rookie inexperienced commissioner dealing with it, it would have been much ado about nothing. But of course, none of those things are true. All those names are attached to it. So it becomes, at first blush, obviously, the bluest of blue bloods, Michigan, who tells us time after time, we do things right. Jim Harbaugh said it again this week, I think. He said it this summer, to the point that this is one of the sign stealing and quote-unquote cheating is one of the oldest tactics in college football. It's gamesmanship. It's not the Astros. The Astros were communicating signs. This is different. This is like the Astros, in that the rules don't say you can't steal signs. No, that's allowed. The rules say you can't travel and scout a future opponent. And I was frankly surprised at that. It's been that way for 29 years. I thought you'd send a GA.
Sure.
SDSU, go watch Fresno State play or something. But no, you can't do that. And then within that, videotaping signals and disseminating them for, your game. So that's what this started out to be, and involving this super fan, Connor Stallions, who apparently had an elaborate network of people working for him, basically scouted every Big Ten team in the country. You can understand why their coaches are upset, and their ADs, and they want retribution. The problem is, now you get into the legal thing, where if the Big Ten tried to suspend Jim Harbaugh today, there will be an injunction filed, and I quoted one source saying in 10 minutes to get him back on the field. So it's really complicated.
Dennis, is there any credibility to the original claim by Harbaugh that he didn't know what was going on, that it just was an overzealous staffer that was trying to do, too much and did all these things? Can anyone really believe that? Does that make sense to you?
Well, in the fog of war yesterday, I think I read a story on ESPN that basically said the NCAA had concluded he did not know. But that's hardly an excuse, because the story I wrote last week, in January, the NCAA changed the wording in its coach responsibility bylaw from a coach shall be presumed to be responsible for the actions of his staff to shall be responsible for the actions of its staff, even if he didn't know. So if the NCAA finds violations, it will be stuck to Jim Harbaugh. Now, you can mitigate that finding by presenting evidence, but no, that's not an excuse that he didn't know. And I think it's up to the fans and the readers for them to believe that he didn't know. It's completely plausible, and I'm not, in his camp necessarily. It's completely plausible that they hired this guy who, showed some proclivity towards this. And when the information started to come through and it was really detailed, yeah, we ought to use this. But it's not a good look at all, obviously.
Talking to our pal Dennis Dodd here, NCAA insider for CBS Sports. And, Dennis, once they start getting into the financials and this, he made $55,000 a year, but he lives in this home that costs this much. And then, I did see Ben mention the vacuum cleaner. Well,
porch full of vacuum cleaners. I don't know what that has to do with anything.
He essentially, Ben, ran a very lucrative vacuum cleaning repair company out
That's
of
where
his
he's getting all
home.
the
That's where
money
he's
to
getting
do
all
this.
the money to do this, and it stinks, man. It stinks to high heaven. There's no question about it. But, the one thing I did find interesting, and I read that the NFL will not provide a safe haven for Mr. Harbaugh should he choose to leave. I'm not a USC fan, but I remember Pete Carroll kind of slinking away. Great timing, great job. Goes to Seattle, and but then USC's hit with sanctions and stuff. What is the next step if the NCAA comes down on Harbaugh? Is he in danger of losing this gig?
Well, that was my question from the beginning. What is a meaningful penalty for Michigan and or Jim Harbaugh if everything we've read is true? Well, I think we've seen from recent cases that the NCAA is not in the business of handing out postseason bans anymore. They just aren't. Kansas was investigated for 5 years in that IARP case with the Southern District of New York dating from 2017 and didn't get that. And that's really all the fans care about. What has to be considered here is that Jim Harbaugh is already under investigation for lying to the NCAA about some minor recruiting violations, level 2 during COVID, that he says he didn't know about and was ready to be wrapped up earlier this year in a negotiated resolution, 4 games. That's fine. The Committee on Infractions came in, the NCAA, and said, no, this isn't going to be swept under the rug. We're starting a full-on investigation. So to mitigate that, and this is an ongoing investigation, major violations, Michigan on its own self-imposed those 3 games at the beginning of the year. That wasn't the NCAA, that was Michigan. So now you got parallel track. I can't remember, maybe Tarkanian at one point, a major college coach on parallel tracks at the same time being investigated for 2 major violations. We shall see if Connor Stalions is a major violation. The other one is, or allegedly.
Funny you bring up Tarkanian. I saw his quote yesterday, which was about college basketball, but applies here when he said 9 out of 10 teams are cheating, and the 10th is in last place in college athletics. Feels a little appropriate today.
Right.
Good Lord.
Dennis, I actually have a football-ish question for you. Has to do with the college football playoff rankings. Came out again today, same top 4 as last week. I like it to make sense, and Ohio State at number 1 makes sense to me. They've got the most impressive wins so far of anybody. But then why wouldn't Washington be number 2 with their win over Oregon and as strong as the Pac-12's been this year? How are they still sitting at number 5 as undefeated with that win over number 6 under their belts?
Well, I agree with your second point. I don't agree with your first. I have a big problem with Ohio State being number 1. I don't think they're a fully formed team. Out of those 5, Kyle McCord is an unproven quarterback to me. Rutgers took them to the 4th quarter. Apparently the committee didn't see that when Georgia really handled the number 12 team in the country in Missouri. Now their schedule isn't as strong, but look, I'm sick of hearing about Notre Dame. They're a 3-loss team out of the rankings. And that win barely because Notre Dame had 10 players on the field. Looks worse and worse. But yeah, as far as Washington, I think you can make a case. I think you can make a case for Oregon in the top 4. I know they lost to Washington by 3 and a missed field goal at the gun, but I think they proved themselves beyond a shadow of a doubt how good they are. I would make a case for Michigan being number one or Georgia. Having seen them live now a couple of times, I think they're one of the most complete teams in the country. They're sort of boring, but they're very, very good, and that speaks to the overall tenor of the season. I think there are no great teams, there are a few really good ones, and then everything else after that. It will work out. Ohio State, Michigan play each other. Oregon, Washington play each other. It's very, very unlikely there's going to be 5 undefeateds at the end of the year. In fact, I know there's not going to be. But if Ohio State loses to Michigan, they can stay in the top 4, much the same they did last year.
Dennis, do you give Michigan the nod just simply by how badly they've beaten the absolute terrible teams that they've played? They haven't played anyone. Nobody ranked as of now. Looking at their schedule, but they have decimated these teams. I mean, the defense is staggering. What they've been able to do. Offense has been explosive. They will have Penn State this weekend. I think they will handle them. And then again, they'll end the season with Ohio State. That's going to be a really, really good football game. It should be. But is it just because of they're Goliath? They're just beating teams up. Actually, Goliath got beat. So
I elevated them, I think about a week or two ago, simply because of what you just said. And in week 9, now week 11, undefeated means something.
Yeah.
Liberty and James Madison being ranked, not in the CFP, but in the AP poll, undefeated, that means something. You survived injuries, you survived your conference opponents, you negotiated the schedule. And I coming into this season, this was Jim Harbaugh's best team. Blake Corum decided to come back. He was an All-American running back, destined to be a Heisman finalist when he blew out his knee late last year against, I think it was Illinois. Guys, Michigan is so strong, they don't need their leading rusher, Blake Corum. They could get by. Donovan Edwards is the backup. He ran for 200 yards against Ohio State last year. They could be in the same exact position without their best running back and probably their best receiver. That's how deep they are, which speaks to another point here. You guys are probably old enough to remember Watergate. Nixon didn't have to bug the Democratic headquarters. He had 70% of the vote that year. Michigan didn't have to do it. They're really, really good.
Yeah.
We've seen that. Now, the first question I have at the Ohio State game, if they win, in the interview room is, Jim, there are those that say all of this is tainted. How do you react? Did you have to ask that question?
Yeah, you have to. It's going to be interesting, fascinating, in fact.
Just last thing for me, Dennis. I wanted to get your national perspective on Brady Hoke and the Aztecs. And I promise it's nothing personal. I have nothing against Brady Hoke, but it's becoming more clear to me that the success that San Diego State has had football-wise was much more due to Rocky Long. Brady Hoke was in the right place when Rocky left and decided he didn't want to be a head coach anymore, and they promoted him, and he had a good season, and they gave him an extension that now seems like a big mistake. And they've got a huge buyout that they can't afford with a new stadium that is not drawing any fans because it's a substandard product.
The only fans that are there are holding signs that say "Fire Hope."
Yeah, it's not a good situation. What was supposed to be a celebratory last couple of years has turned into a real problem now for J.D. Wicker, and I wanted to get your kind of national perspective on it.
Yeah, the move to the Pac-12 dropped out, unfortunately. And, I just think Brady Hoke and underachieving this year is just part of it. I still contend that stadium is one of the best venues on the West Coast, if not the country, given the amenities and built the size. They built it for the perfect market. They didn't build 50, they didn't build 60, they built 35. And I understand the attendance problems and the ticket issues. But to turn that around, you've got to get people excited in whatever the Mountain West / Pac-12 is going to look like. And that's the challenge for JD and the administration. I'm not breaking any new ground here, but that's the truth.
Well, we got Brian Dutcher and the basketball team off to a good start again, and excited about that. They just hung a Final Four banner, which is one of the coolest moments we've had in San Diego sports in a long time. But yeah, football's been problematic. Dennis, we always appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time, as always.
Glad to be on. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Dennis.
Dennis Dodd, CBS Sports. You're right. Big games finally this week. Michigan will get a test at Penn State. You like Michigan in that one, but at least it'll be a real opponent for the first time. Georgia takes on Ole Miss. That's a top 10 showdown. And Washington will have to play Utah. Now it's at home, and Utah doesn't have a ton of offense, but they got a good defense. You would think Washington won't score 50 this time at least against Utah. So you do have 3 actual real significant games in college football this weekend after a season where it feels like somehow the top teams have not had to play each other at all the whole year long. And it got me thinking yesterday, the scheduling impacts the narrative so much. What if Colorado's schedule had been flipped and they had their hard games early, like these games where they've gotten their doors blown off by teams and they started like 0-5. And then Dion won a couple of games, beat Colorado State in double overtime. They wouldn't have got much credit for that if they were 0-5 at that time.
Right.
TCU would have been a nice win later in the season, but TCU, they're okay. Would there be any hype for Colorado at all if they were sitting, what's their record right now? 4-5, 3-5?
Yeah. They've won.
If they hadn't started 3-0, would there be any hype left? Would it have ever even been created at all? Or is it simply because of the when of their schedule that they had those winnable games early and they surprised some people and all of a sudden Dion became this national sensation when really it could have gone the absolute opposite way and they could have had kind of a fairly mediocre season, which is what they're really having right now.
They're having a mediocre season right now, but I mean, again, you beat a probably overranked TCU team for your first win. You're going to get some.
Right.
You're going to get some pub. But it's also
if that had been week 9 and they had taken on a TCU that was unranked and won that same game, it doesn't create the sensation that it created in week 1.
I think you're going to have some sensation anyway, just because of who the head coach is and the way that he went about building that team. Right. I think that's where a lot of that publicity comes into. And hey, listen, at the end of the day, no matter what their record is, their AD is elated. He got a bargain getting Deion Sanders. They've sold more tickets, Ben, than they could have ever dreamed.
But their schedule, 4-5, would they do it again? Yeah.
Their schedule worked out perfectly, though,
really
to create hype. Like overhype for that team.
Oh, yeah. They were way overhyped. We overhyped him. Everybody overhyped him. But it doesn't mean that he doesn't know how to coach. They had 1 win last year. They have 4 now.
I'm still interested.
I'm still very interested.
Like, they're not going to be the game of the week every single week right now.
That's
but
what I'm saying.
Still interested.
They wouldn't have been the game of the week at all. Yeah, it's an interesting story with Dion and taking a step forward. They would have written some nice things about him, some good columns. College Game Day, Fox, Big Saturday. They wouldn't have all been there for a month straight if the schedule had worked out a little differently and they had gotten off to a slow start and then won a couple of games later. It's all timing and scheduling.
Timing's everything.
It just creates a narrative sometimes.
Yep, absolutely.
And right now, we just keep seeing these top teams clobber bad opponents. Finally, we're going to get to see some better games hopefully here late in the season.
And realignment will be interesting. As far as matchups and things like that go. But again, it's all cyclical. Who did you recruit? How did you get them? What can you offer them? Give Dion again a couple of years. Give a lot of these guys a couple of years to see what the program they can build.
All right, we have 2 hours to go. If you missed it, we are going to have Will Venable join us at 8:35 from the Texas Rangers, World Series champion and former Padre. Will Venable, looking forward to that conversation coming up. We also have some Green Day tickets to give away in our second half of the show. So lots still to come on Ben and Woods on a Wednesday on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Halfway home on a Wednesday, Ben and Woods, 97.3. The Fan. Thank you so much for being here, joining us, making us your choice in the morning. You have many options when you listen to the radio. We thank you. I'm Woodsy. That's Paul Reindl, executive producer. Benjamin Higgins. Benjamin Higgins.
Sure.
Yep. Benjamin Higg. How you doing? Benjamin.
Higgins. If the G is really going to be kind of that H sound, like heel,
yeah,
then I'd be Higgins.
Thought People magazine might have gotten it wrong yesterday when they did their normal or their usual annual Sexiest Man Alive. Nothing against Patrick Dempsey, but he was named Sexiest Man Alive yesterday. People magazine. It's quite an honor. I think I'd be pretty honored to.
I feel like
to get that
maybe 10 or 15 years ago that would have made a little more sense.
When he was
I haven't really heard from Patrick Dempsey in a while.
I don't know what he's been up to. Has he been directing or?
I mean, Grey's Anatomy did debut like 18 years ago.
Right.
He was in that, correct?
He was. McDreamy, I think.
What else has he been in?
He was in Can't Buy Me Love.
That's
Great
right.
movie.
I was thinking Can't Hurry Love, Can't Buy Me Love was the one that he was in.
One of the best.
Is he in He's Just Not That Into You?
Maybe.
I think so.
He's an actor, as you know. I don't know what he's been doing, though. But he was, I think, a surprise choice to many. I will say, I'm looking at the cover right now, and he's pretty darn sexy. He's 57 years old. It gives you hope. I'm 48. It's like, man, if I look like that at 57... things are going pretty well in my life. I'd like to look that good.
Yeah, I mean, the Golden Bachelor's on, so there's definitely this older is sexier thing going, for guys at least, which is great for us. I mean, we don't deserve it, but there is definitely a narrative out there that helps us, that guys get sexier as they get older.
Yep.
And I don't know that it's really true, but we have perpetrated and perpetuated that narrative going forward as guys. And, I mean, if you want to believe it, go ahead.
I was looking through, we were in here this morning looking through some of the recent, winners. And, yeah, Chris Evans. Paul Rudd was an interesting choice, but he's very nice and kind. And I think that makes him even sexier. Not that he's not attractive, he is. Michael B. Jordan, sexiest dude. John Legend is an interesting one to me. I never found him sexy. It's cool. Idris Elba should pretty much just win every year. Blake Shelton may be the worst pick of all time.
Where did that come from?
I have no earthly idea.
I look at some of the older ones as being more questionable. Nick Nolte, I never saw it.
What year was that? 1979?
That was in 1992.
92?
Yeah.
Okay.
For the Silver Fox crowd, Sean Connery won in 1989.
Ben also thinks that Johnny Depp is not a sexy
I do not
man.
think Johnny Depp is sexy.
You were shocked that he
his
won it.
mustache seems always creepy to me, and he just scares me a little bit.
Well, he's
Again, I know I'm not the best
scary.
judge of such things,
He's
but
an edgy guy, but that's partly what makes him sexy. You keep picturing him as the guy from Pirates of the Caribbean.
yes, I do.
No,
that's not a sexy character.
Picture him from the movie Blow. Like, he's sexy. He's a sexy, sexy man. If we were doing it in San Diego, the sexiest radio guys, I think you've moved to the top now with the weight loss.
Oh, thank you.
And I think it really makes sense.
I don't know that I necessarily agree with that statement. I think sexiness is more of a state of mind. Obviously, physically attractive, clearly I'm up there. But in terms of like that sexy,
can we just hang on?
Will you isolate
sexy
that?
vibe, though?
Pause.
I
for
just
a
don't know that
second.
I exude that sexy charm. I think you exude the charm. Maybe Ben and Woods together, like your personality with my looks, would be good.
I can't believe that just happened.
I'm being humble, modest. I don't believe I deserve to be the sexiest man in San Diego.
But you would understand it if you were.
Well,
the most handsome? Is that what you... what you would want?
I mean, I don't think I'd even win at this station. I think Tony Gwynn Jr. probably would win Sexiest Host at this station award fairly handily.
Miles and miles.
He's just cooler, you know?
He's cooler. He's sexier. He's got a better body. All of it.
Well, I mean, shirtless, obviously. It's not going to go well for me against Tony Gwynn Jr., but I'm better with clothes on.
I've never seen you with your clothes off, but I'm going to guess.
You have, in the bathtub.
I didn't see anything, though. You were covered by bubbles. Calgon. I would say that even with the weight loss, with the clothes off, it's probably not great. Just because of our age.
Right.
It's just not great.
No,
it's not tanned. It's not really toned.
I mean, half of it's tanned, and then it's untanned.
And then it's untanned.
Yeah.
There's nothing less sexy than a golfer's farmer's tan. Nothing. When you get out of the hot day and you get in the shower,
there's
you're like,
an entire country music song that's called "She Thinks My Farmer's Tan Is Sexy." That's an actual country music song.
Yeah, he's a farmer though. He's not a
farmer's
golfer.
tan and a golfer's tan is essentially the same thing.
Yeah. But anyway, there it is, right there. Just in case it actually happened. I mean,
Paulie.
Paulie is.
San Diego
I don't remember
issue.
posing for that particular shot, but I think I look pretty good, right?
You look good. He put it on. It's on the YouTube feed. What is YouTube? And I think you tweeted as well, Paulie.
Yeah.
Ben as San Diego.
I
sexiest
look
man
pretty good
alive.
right there.
Yeah, you do.
Clothes on, obviously. Now, I don't do the modern grooming necessary, probably, to do like a shirtless photo shoot.
We just heard about the almond-sized nugget of earwax that came out of your ear. So, yeah, what is the rest of you? Where are the rest of your orifices containing that we don't know?
So, I mean, I haven't ever been a big... What do they call it? Manscaping guy. I'm kind of afraid of it, really. I don't want to do any damage.
You won't. You won't.
I don't know any techniques or anything. I'm not going to.
Hang on.
Do you?
Hang on.
Would you go to a place for that? Woods, have you ever gone to a place for that?
For manscaping my man parts?
Yeah.
No, I just do it at home.
You do it at home.
I did a one time.
Have you ever?
No.
Never.
No.
Not once.
Never manscaped.
No. I mean, I'm not a super hairy guy to begin with, but I would be scared to start, whacking away at places that, are sensitive.
I think I need a timeout.
I can't be the only one who's thinking this out there.
Yeah, you and every guy at the YMCA where I work out that's 75 years old. I've never seen more brain in my life than at that place. And I go there, and I don't get it. You hit a certain age, and you're like, A, I'm not going to groom anything, and B, I'm just going to walk around nude in the entire locker room.
I don't do that. I'm very modest. I always, keep towels on and like to be modest.
You got to shave it down, man. You got to. You asked me if I've ever gone somewhere for that. No, but I did do a bit once where they did my nose hair with wax.
Oh,
and they pull it out. We did it on the air. It hurt like a mother.
Yeah.
And then did they do ear hair as well? I think they did put the wax in, they yank it out real quick. And I have great appreciation for the women folk out there that will go and get lasered and Brazilian and all of that. And I'm like,
bush.
It's appreciated. It's very, very appreciated on my end. I couldn't go in there and throw the legs up and be like, all right, how about it?
But can you even reach down there to do it yourself? Or?
Yeah. You
can.
You like your power stance on the news? Do that.
Okay.
Get the manscaper thing.
Right.
And just
like you really
power
wide
stance.
and then
yeah.
Because I'm not very flexible.
That's also
but
true.
I have short arms too.
Ask one of your kids to do it for you.
No.
Yeah, I mean the what the women do to keep themselves in that in that shape, I guess, is.
But they have places that they go to.
Yeah, I mean there are people out there listening right now that are like, yeah, I'm pulling into the office right now, and I have 14 Brazilians I have to do. Mm-hmm. Things like that. So hey, it's appreciated on my end. I can tell you that right now.
Somebody said get Ben a Brazilian.
Yeah, a Brazilian. They do those.
Yeah, I'm sure they do.
I smell a bit idea. We'll do it live on the air for the extravaganza.
Yes.
You thought last year was bad. Ben's going to get waxed.
Ben's going to be begging for the Olive Garden and the GIMP mask.
Wow. Well, I mean, you look good in that picture.
I did.
On People's Sexiest Man.
I think Paul might have put me on Patrick Dempsey's bottom.
Yeah.
My head. But my head worked with Patrick Dempsey's rest of him.
You look great. You
Thank
look great. I love somebody. I meant to bring this up. Paulie said there's a guy. I don't go on Facebook. I haven't been on Facebook in 5 years. Paulie said there's a guy that hates me and him specifically. Loves you, which is fine. It happens. Everyone has their own.
He's a Ben fan.
There's a Ben fan.
Yeah.
Like that elderly
Yeah,
guy.
I'm a Ben fan.
Hello, I'm a Ben fan. Great. So am I. I'm a huge Ben fan.
Thank you.
It doesn't.
I'm a Woods fan.
I don't. Yeah, I don't.
How
I'm a
are
Paul
you?
fan. Yeah, I don't take it personally. That said, there was a guy. It really bummed me out. He said, "Ben, you look great. I'm sure Woods and Paul are furious that you've lost the weight." And it's
They're
not
haters.
That's not the case at all. I'm happy for you because everybody's on their own journey. They want to be, fit or whatever. And we're all, doing our best to get there. It's hard. It's hard with this job. It's hard in life. It's hard with 2 kids. It's hard with all the things we have going on. I wouldn't begrudge. I'd be a really crappy friend if I was like, hey, Ben, I brought you, try this. Made this for you. Like if I was trying to fatten him up a little bit. I think it's phenomenal. You have a trainer now. Here's the deal. I want you to live a long time so that we can continue to do the show. And then I can ride off into the sunset. Hopefully more physically fit than I am
You're
right now.
not scouting your next future partner for the radio.
Not a bit. Not a bit. I was 3 years ago. I will say I was worried about your health. Now I'm not worried about your health.
You.
I had mental plans of like, my man works 18 hours a day. He's not taking care of himself. He may drop dead. What are we going to do?
Yeah. Sleeping more, losing weight. Yeah, I'm feeling good right now.
That's great. And so that guy, what's his name? John?
I don't even remember.
John, buddy, you have the wrong idea about who we are as people and as friends. We support each other through thick and thin. Ben used to be thicker. He's now thin. I support you when you were thick, and I support you now that you're thin.
Was I ever thick? THICC?
No,
because that's
good
never.
Thick, that's
right?
a good
No,
thick.
That's bad.
You never.
I was bad. I was THICK.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. More than husky.
Yeah.
Not
quite portly, but maybe
portly.
Really,
I've seen some
portly?
old pictures of us that we look like. I think I've put on weight since we started the show, but hey, man, 2 kids. I don't feel bad about it at all. But no, we support you, John. You're way off base. You're creating a narrative and drama that just doesn't exist. I'm very happy for Ben, right? And I think what you've done is great. I would vote for you for Sexiest Man on San Diego radio today.
I will take your vote happily.
Yep.
Thank you.
I know you will. Congrats to Patrick Dempsey, though. Very, very attractive guy. Gives you something to
But also,
shoot
like,
for.
maybe pick up a Manscaped.
Yeah, also maybe Manscaped.
Well, now you know what to get me for Christmas.
Absolutely right.
All right, we'll take a little time out. We got Will Venable coming up at the bottom of the hour. Looking forward to that. Green Day tickets to give away as well. We're at the middle of a week. It was a very quiet Tuesday. We're still waiting to hear on news from the Padres, their managerial search, what's going on at the general managers meetings in Scottsdale. All of that coming up after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan. I see on the chat, and I saw yesterday on some social media channels, that a number of Padres season ticket members had the option this week of changing seat locations at Petco Park. People were saying, yeah, I moved over a section or I got onto an aisle. Very exciting move. And I wondered, because you guys have been season ticket members.
We have.
My dad has been a half season ticket member for my entire life. They have, I think, I love their location where his seats are.
They're great seats.
It's in the Toyota Terrace, just to the left of the well at the bottom. So in the middle, where the suites, the Petco suites and the owner suite in the middle are, and they're right above that. In that little tiny triangle section, gets a lot of foul balls. It's only like a sliver of a section, but I love sitting there.
It's actually
I think
right in front of the Odyssey suite.
It is right in front of the Odyssey suite, but it's not in a suite.
I caught
it's
a
just
foul
down
ball
there.
sitting in those seats.
Yeah. But what are your guys' favorite seats, like at Petco Park? People who are looking to move or upgrade or move around for next season.
We had right field line year one. Paulie and I did. I think I went to
121. I
think I sat in the seats once. The heat, it was too hot. We were roasting in the sun. So then we moved way far left.
Basically the exact same spot in left field.
In left field, it was in the shade.
Like if you watch along the baseline, like the wall that goes along the side there, it starts to turn and go up. That was right where we were in that little section by the foul pole, and we moved over to the left field side.
See, I agree with you 100%. I'd rather be in the shade, but like Shelly, she likes the sun. She likes being warm. She hates being cold. That can be a kind of a difficult argument there.
Our package was Wednesday, which are almost always day games. Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. Sundays are always day games outside of a Sunday night baseball. So we were in the sun for a lot of those games.
I gave mine away, or I walked to another shaded part. I can't sit and roast. And I know it's it's 75 degrees. That's hot for me now. I'm old. I don't like to roast in sun. My skin looks like a saddlebag as it is. So, I liked the left field ones more. The best seats in the house.
Visitor side there.
I mean, for me, it's always the closer the better. The closer I can get to the field, the better.
Is that always true?
For me, it is. At least with baseball.
Can you sometimes be? I mean, it's very close. It's very cool to sit down close, but you don't always have the best
view
perspective of everything. You have to be a little further back. I like the Toyota Terrace level for perspective on the game.
Sitting in the home plate set seats, the fancy ones, is pretty amazing. Everybody should get a chance to do that at some point in their lives. It's unbelievable, but you can hear, I could hear the fastball. I could hear the strike call. It's pretty electric. And there's some, you're blocked a little bit from a couple of things, but when you're field level, basically looking the same height as the rest of the guys, it's a great experience.
I will also say that when it comes to a little outside of the baseball, I love sitting way up high where you can kind of see out of Petco Park and the views of San Diego. I love the top up there. Shelly hates it. She's got kind of the
Hannah has vertigo
fear of heights. She doesn't like to go up to the steeper levels, but I love going to the top and just kind of taking in the day, especially if it's not a great game for whatever reason. It's I move up and back and just enjoy San Diego from up top at Petco Park.
I mean, every seat is expensive now. It doesn't matter if you're the top of the right field bleachers or down the line or whatever. It's expensive. Realistically, it's not realistic for me to get the home plate Premier Lexus Club or whatever. Realistic spots, I like the first baseline, probably in line with first base or the first base coach.
Sick.
I like seeing the scoreboard. I like seeing into the city. You can see the planes landing, great sunset if it's a night game. And I like, midway up the section, 20th row or something.
Honestly, though, we got the chance to sit in the owner's seats that are right on deck one time. It was amazing. It was an amazing experience. But
you're 5 feet from the manager.
Bro, you're
who's sitting up on the
manager's
stairs.
actually behind you.
He's behind
which is
you.
weird. He's looking over your shoulder
you have
at the game.
a better view than the manager.
But Manny was on deck, and he's right there. And you're like, oh, hello. I see that cake. Right? And but the best seats I ever sat in were out in right center, the beach area. What's it called? The
beach.
Cutwater. There's
Cutwater Cove or
whatever it is. I sat right on the wall. Remember Mookie went up for that ball. Everyone was yelling at me that I should have gotten his way. was
The
incredible.
whiskey deck, Templeton
It was
deck there, too.
It was unbelievable. Leaning like hands on the wall, watching a game was spectacular. Spectacular.
Growing up at Jack Murphy Stadium, we used to sit like 3 or 4 rows right behind the Padres dugout first base. You always felt like you were watching the same way the players and the manager were kind of watching from the dugout there, but just a little bit higher. I always liked those seats a lot. You could see really good home runs that went out to left field, like leaving the bat on a pole. We're just like straight down. You're watching it go out that way. That was always really cool.
I think my favorite spot, if I could pick season tickets, would be like 20th row. It's probably section like 113, 109, somewhere in there, where like imagine final out of the inning at first base, first baseman can turn and just chucks it up over the net. Anywhere in that area seems like a really good spot.
Yeah, those are really, really good. My buddy Bogsy's got really good seats. Third base side, but kind of in between home and the dugout, maybe 14 rows up, and you're right there. They're just elite, but they're expensive, man. They cost a fortune. And listen, that's something they're gonna want to fill that ballpark again. I have no doubt that even after all the consternation of the offseason, everyone's so mad right now and disappointed. The place is going to be packed again next year. I mean, they have guys that you're gonna want to go see every single night, and if they do reach their potential, and that's what it's all about. That place was jamming this year.
The Odyssey Suite is a cool place to watch a game,
Very.
and usually, our clients get a chance to do it. We get to go a couple of times a year, but Tier 1s, you are going to get the opportunity next season through the Biggest Fan Contest. It is returning November 13th. That's Monday. Just visit 973thefans.com/biggestfan. Do it right now. Register your name, and then listen starting Monday at 9:15 a.m., also at 11:30 a.m. and 5 p.m. during each fan talk show. If you hear your name called, call us back within 10 minutes, and you will qualify for the grand prize. It is a night in our suite, 20 tickets for you, all your friends and family, plus all the fan hosts coming to the game with you as well for a game next season. But you got to register your name at 973thefansd.com/biggestfan to get in starting next week. Very excited about that one coming up.
Don't waste time. Let's go to break.
All right, Will Venable coming up when we come back. World Series champion. We'll ask how many diamonds are going to be in that ring coming up next on 97.3 The Fan. You may not know this about our next guest, but he is actually a former member of the San Diego Padres.
Oh, I've heard that.
Oh, you did hear that before once or
yeah.
twice? He's gone on to some pretty cool things.
I just wish we also had Bruce Bochy here.
Yeah, that would have been nice. I don't know why they never gave him a shot here in San Diego. But he teamed up with Boch. They just won a World Series championship in Texas. And joining us right now here on Ben & Woods on 97.3 The Fan is Associate Manager of the Texas Rangers, Will Venable. Will, it is great to hear you back here in San Diego, at least on the radio. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Well, the intro was really lackluster. That's World Series champion Will Venable.
I got there.
At this point. Will, congratulations on all your success with the Texas Rangers. It was pretty amazing what you guys were able to accomplish, especially, Will, on the road in the postseason. How is it just one of those weird baseball things? Like there's no explanation for it?
Yeah, it was crazy. I'm not sure what the explanation is for it. I will say, though, that our group has been resilient all year, not really impacted by environments and really just kind of focused on the task at hand. So I think it all just kind of lined up for a pretty special run there on the road and in the postseason.
When did you know? You're there, spring training, you're constantly in meetings, you're looking at the guys that you've got, you're looking at the guys that are coming up. When did it hit home for you? You went, oh, okay. These guys, like every team says in April and May, oh, no, we got a run in us. We heard it all year with the Padres. Oh, you haven't seen our run yet. We never went on the run, Will. When you looked at your team and evaluated your team with Bruce Bochy and Chris Young, when did it hit you and go, no, these guys are legit. They've got a chance to win the World Series?
Yeah, pretty early. You recognize that it's a special group. Just offensively, just amazing. Just kind of every day, kind of throwing it out there and putting together good at bats and scoring a bunch of runs. And then our pitching staff was amazing. Our defense was great. And probably, about a third of the way through the season, I think Boch made a comment about, wow, we could win a World Series with this group, which was kind of sobering. Obviously a guy who's been there and seen it and see what it takes, has that belief in our group. I think we just started kind of rolling after that and, had our ups and downs during the season. Sure. But I think kind of the whole way we thought this was going to be a special group.
Obviously different teams, and I won't ask you about the Padres, but they had a season where it felt like they could never totally get it going. You mentioned overcoming the hardships, obviously losing Jacob deGrom early to injury. You guys, the offense was killing it. But later in the season, that those last couple of months when things started, the team started scuffling a little bit. You fell out of first place. You had to sneak into the playoffs there at the end. How did you guys kind of keep it together, keep that confidence going? Because it seemed like it was a team that would have been ripe for losing a lot of confidence there at the end.
Yeah, I think that you just understand that this is what all great teams go through, and that's what it's about. It's about overcoming these obstacles and when things are tough to figure out a way to bounce back and get better. And so I think, starting with Boch and CY's leadership, it was kind of like, hey, these are learning experiences. These are times where we are going to be tested and we can come out a bit better on the other side. And every team that is great has these, and so these are our opportunity to use these times to get better.
Talking to Will Venable here on Ben & Woods this morning. Now, this is how it goes in baseball, and you've been interviewed before, or at least asked to interview, and you politely declined an opportunity or two, I think, this offseason already. For you, what is so important about staying in Texas? Is it learning at the hand of Bruce Bochy and then potentially maybe taking over that job when he retires?
Yeah, well, it's really not about the role, I think at this point, after doing some interviews and really learning, having them as learning experiences, for me, the most important thing is finding an organization with the people, with a group of players, and the opportunity to just learn and grow regardless of what my role is. And that's what I found in Texas. And so as much as I'm flattered and appreciate, the opportunity to talk to other clubs, this is the best place for me to grow, and regardless of what role I have.
You mentioned the amazing road run in the playoffs, 11-0, probably a record that will never be matched in baseball. Kind of goes against what you think about the postseason and home field advantage. Did you see this, Will? I haven't brought it up on the show. So the Rangers beat the Rays, the Orioles, the Astros, and then the Diamondbacks. And if you take the first letter of those 4 team nicknames, it's ROAD. Road, all
Amazing.
the way through. What was it about the road games and just kind of that was created in October, Will, with the Rangers team?
Yeah, I don't know, just something special, like you said, and that's it's crazy to that it spells out road, and just one of those baseball things. But I just think that, like, our group, just the way that they respond to different things and having their back up against the wall and just fighting and staying focused. It just had all the ingredients to turn into something special.
And it's interesting, talking to Will Venable here on Ben and Woods this morning. San Diego Padres went out. They spent a lot of money in the offseason, highest payroll they've ever had. We in the media, the fans, excited. Excited when opening day comes around. Expectations were through the roof. They fell short. Texas Rangers, they also spent a lot of money as well. And when you get down to it, you win a World Series. Everybody looks like a genius, right? At the end of the day, this is a league that's going to look at what you guys did and say, well, they did it the right way. And it could have gone horribly wrong. We've seen it go horribly wrong before. Who do you give the credit to for it not going horribly wrong?
Well, certainly our players, they're the ones going out there every day and fighting and putting it on the line and grinding and performing. I think, though, that, like, the vision starts with CY and Ray Davis and just, their willingness to invest in the team, to get the right people together. And ultimately, like, the entire group, just has really high expectations, which are great, but they don't mean a lot without holding each other accountable to those things. And that's what I think, like, everyone in our organization deserves credit for. We just did a great job of setting the bar really high and then holding each other accountable to those standards.
Of course, you need those star players to come through, and they did, like a Corey Seager, the high-paid players. But there were also a lot of young guys who contributed at the same time at a high level. Is there a trick to kind of working the veteran high-paid players and then the kind of rookies who are making the minimum into a kind of a unit that gels together without any, jealousy or cliques kind of forming inside a clubhouse?
Yeah, I think that's, part of Boch's brilliance is that he creates an environment where everyone can feel like they're themselves and, helps players connect with each other. Certainly our veteran players are amazing teammates and did a great job of making sure that all of our young guys were cared for and had what they needed. Were supported but also challenged in the right way. So, starting with Boch, I think that there's some nuance there, but certainly our veteran players did a great job too.
And Will, I got to tell you, it was nice to watch the postseason and actually be able to cheer for Corey Seager. Now, I've always admired him as a ball player. I couldn't really root for him when he was on the Dodgers. Watching him play was a revelation, and I knew he was great. He's my fantasy shortstop, so I know he's really, really good. Tell us something that we don't know about Corey Seager, because you listen to him in the post-game interview. Look, he's Crash Davis. He's, good Lord willing, things will work out. It's as cut and dry cliche as it gets. But tell us something maybe we don't know about Corey, the work he puts in, the person he is.
Yeah, it's a lot of what you see and what you get from the little snippets in the media. But the guy really is a machine. Just to think about the kind of hitter he is, knowing that teams don't want to pitch to him, but being ready for that one pitch and driving it, just amazing. And I think it really is kind of who he is, his work ethic. The guy does not need to be bothered with anything that doesn't involve winning. And that's, with his own preparation from his teammates, he really sets the tone for our group and then goes out and backs it up with his performance. So, I don't think that there's anything secret to his formula. It's just focus on the things that I know help me win and go out and dominate those.
How's Adolis Garcia doing? It was such a bummer that he didn't get to be on the field for those last couple of games. But, was everyone just in awe of what he did in October? It was absolutely incredible to watch.
Unreal.
Yeah, it was incredible. I think, kind of, for me as a newcomer to the organization this year, kind of the word on Dolly was that he was going to have his best performance in the biggest moments, and we saw that throughout the year. When we needed him the most, he really stepped up, and on the biggest stage, this guy is just a a superstar. And then to follow it up with what he did in the postseason. I mean, this guy is an absolute stud and just a fun guy to watch and a great human being too, which makes it all the better.
Talking to Will Venable here on Ben and Woods this morning. I know it was awesome beating the Diamondbacks in the World Series. I know that. It was amazing. That's the top of the mountain. But beating the Astros, you can be honest now. How satisfying was that one?
Oh, it was good, I think that it was awesome. Obviously, like the history between the organizations, kind of some of the stuff that we had going on this year, it definitely felt good. But, to be honest, it really was about us and not the Astros. It was about us winning a World Series. And, they were, one of the teams in our way of doing that. So that felt great. But, there wasn't anything extra beyond just being able to have an opportunity to win the World Series, which, again, was our number one goal.
I mean, I'm not going to believe you on that. I can't in good conscience, Will. I can't. I know you're supposed to say that. I can't believe it.
I mean, we're coming from a place that, we beat the Dodgers last year.
That was our World Series.
It was the most incredible thing for all of us, Will. You've been on both sides of it, but you remember what it's like with the Padres and the Dodgers and that moment. You must have seen it from afar, and I hope smiled a little bit when that happened.
Yeah, of course. I mean, but again, we really were excited that we were going to the World Series.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's about us, man. And, maybe a little different for players because they're out there grinding and, in the middle of these little scuffles. But, for us, we were just super proud of our group and the opportunity to play for a World Series.
Last one for me, Will. Just wanted to ask you, I mean, you saw so many – you saw guys come up, Evan Carter's of the world, right? And you're like, bro, you're 21 years old. Like, you don't know that you don't really I don't know that you realize the magnitude of the games you're playing in. Such an impressive guy. A lot of young guys on that team, man. And I wanted to ask you about the lower levels of the Texas Rangers. What are you guys doing different? They made a big deal about how you guys prepared for the Astros, some different methods you employed. Man, there's so much to this game. You can get all the information in the world. At the end of the day, it comes down to be ready for your pitch, don't miss it, hit it hard, do damage with it. You guys actually had your players very prepared. I wanted to ask you about the lower levels of the organization and then at the big league level, how you guys had that edge and knew to do that and when to employ things like that.
Yeah, I think it's, like you said, organizationally wide, we just have a really good program. And, on the hitting side, for example, it starts with Donnie Ecker, who's our offensive coordinator and bench coach. Also, his fingerprints are all over the minor league program, and he runs really the whole offensive side of the organization. And you see these guys that come up and, they speak the same language that Donnie is speaking in the meetings. They understand the terminology. There's an openness to coaching, but at the same time, a stubbornness to what it is that they do well and a self-belief. So I think you just see that in different phases of our organization and different components of everyone's game. And ultimately, these guys that are able to harness that information and apply it the best and have the maturity to do so, you're seeing come up at a young age and have success in the big leagues. So, just good kids, good people, getting some good coaching.
Well, Will, I really appreciate it. I have a feeling that when we talk to you in the future, it'll be as a major league skipper here at some point. But for now, enjoy that World Series title. And now I get to work on the hardest thing, winning another one.
Yeah, no doubt. How do we get back?
Good luck with that. Thank you, Will.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Will Venable, Associate Manager for the world champion Texas Rangers, react to what we just heard coming up here after Check of Traffic on 97.3 The Fan. Yeah, I can totally envision him as a manager now. I didn't reveal too much, said the right things, gave just enough. Was a solid interview for an associate manager. He's not going to create any headlines with the Astros or any, spicy comments. He tried to goad him into a little bit there at the end, but handled that quite well, quite professionally.
Well, at the end of the day, I'm very impressed by somebody that I think maybe knows that they're not quite ready for that gig yet, and there's still a lot to learn. And he's again learning at the hands of.
He's only 41.
41 years old, man. I mean, and I think there's a lot of guys that would say, "Yeah, Red Sox want me. I'm in. I'll figure it out as I go." I'm one of those guys. I don't think I would be able to sit by and go, "I have the chance to be a big league manager," but I know that I have a lot more to learn. I'll learn it on the fly as I go. I really feel like that's the kind of personality I have to be able to have the I guess wherewithal to say, I'm not quite there, but yeah, talk to me in a couple of years. There's gonna be positions for Will Venable open, and man, I just am very impressed by that guy.
He talked about how the struggles when they did struggle, it kind of created that obstacle to overcome that every team needs to kind of have in their path. Didn't really totally answer how it's done, though. Maybe that's the secret sauce, because the Padres had plenty of obstacles in their way this year, and you really did feel throughout the season like they're going to be better because of this. I had many times a thought during the season, all right, yeah, these struggles sucks, that they're around 500 and it's not going well and they're losing all these close games, but I have a feeling that, in the end, it's going to come back and they're going to be better for it later in the season.
I never had it last season. I never felt it. I felt it the season before. I argued day and night to be patient, and I believed in them. I never felt it last season. Not one time, which made the season so utterly unenjoyable to cover, to watch, to let it consume me. I never felt it last year. Everybody talked about turning the corner. I never saw it, man. I never did. And so I definitely felt it the year before. There was something about that team in particular that made me go, no, man, there's better baseball ahead. And there was. Last year, I never had it. I was excited for about 2 weeks.
Couldn't win 3 games.
And that was it. It was like 2 weeks of excitement. And I went, oh, God, now I'm starting to get a little nervous. I argued a little bit online early and then went, yeah, maybe they're right. Maybe this team is doomed. And I just never had that. I was never willing to place, a bet on it last season that I guarantee you they're going to make the playoffs this year. I never felt it.
Well, obviously, the Rangers never had that feeling in 2022 when they went 68-94 and they fired Chris Woodward and just never were able to get it going. With some of the same players, they didn't have the young guys hadn't stepped up to contribute yet, and that was a big difference. I don't know that the Padres will have that this year. They're young guys who are coming up, don't feel like they're ready to jump in like a Jonah Heim or some of the other players that they have, Evan Carter. Maybe late in the season you might see a Jackson Merrill or a Graham Pauley or someone come up and be that Evan Carter type, and that would be fantastic if they can play well enough early in the season to allow those guys to develop and come up. But the Texas Rangers didn't have it in 2022. They certainly had it here in 2023.
Yeah, and you made the point to Will. They're down and out. And you actually thought, oh boy, like they're going to blow a tremendous
No one
lead.
would have been surprised if they got swept by the Rays.
No.
2 quick games and done.
No.
After the way they finished the season,
Yeah.
would have been pretty much, kind of what I thought. The way they were playing down the stretch. 2 games, they're done. They lose to the Rays. They're out.
I liked what you said about Corey Seager. Don't bother him with anything that's not about winning. That's what I loved. Don't bother him with anything that's not about winning a baseball game. And I thought to myself, wow, that's the mark of a true leader, a true champion now.
We just have to convince Padres players that appearing on Ben and Woods is part of winning.
That's exactly right.
Because we would like to bother them to join us on our show a few times. All right, that was a quick 3 hours. That was a fun interview as well. We'll come back. We got a Rondell report. Woodsy's going to take us down a rabbit hole on a Wednesday involving cannibalism. It's all coming up in our final hour of Ben and Woods next on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Final hour of Ben and Woods here on a Wednesday. And that was fun, getting a chance to talk with Rangers associate manager, World Series champion Will Venable. Just gave us a good 15 minutes there in our last segment. And again, nothing too overly revealing, but he's going to be a solid skipper, I think, at some point.
I think so too. It begs the question. You brought it up at the end. It's wild. I watched the celebration, and I thought to myself, all right, who wins it next year? It's just like this is the world that we're in now, is do you think the Texas Rangers have a chance to repeat? The repeat champions have just been so difficult. I mean, there's so much money going around. There's so many young players and teams that have drafted well that are ready to, burst on the scene like the Arizona Diamondbacks. Will they make it back to the World Series? These are all the things I thought about as I watched the dog pile. I thought there's got to be something that pops into Chris Young's head, because at the end of the day, Bochy's so good. He's the best position in the world. He's got 4 rings. He's like, it literally doesn't matter what I do. I am going to go down in history, Ben, as one of the best to ever manage a baseball game. Period. The end. There's no discussion. Chris Young is like, okay, I did it. We did it. I got to do it again. And I want to do it again. And Seager's going to want another one. And Simeon's going to want another one. These young guys, are they going to get back? It's so overwhelming to think about. I mean, I'm sure the planning for Chris Young probably started on the plane ride home. Really. Like, I really feel like that's it. It probably did. It bums me out, to think about all the time, the resources, the energy invested in. And I don't know that I feel that much closer to a World Series champion today as I did, beginning of last year.
I mean, you certainly make the argument that they're the favorites coming back now based on what they did. Now, they lose Jordan Montgomery. Well, he's a free agent. Yep. They could sign him, but they have Eovaldi back, and if Jacob deGrom comes back healthy, which is a big if, obviously,
every year.
But you can make the argument that they could be even more scary next season in some ways. Now, will there be sophomore slumps from some of the young guys, or will they take another step forward?
History tells us they probably won't repeat. It's just what recent history tells us. But, when you look at them, do you look at them and go, oh, yeah, that's a dynastic type team? I don't know. I don't know if you do or not.
They don't look like they're going away quickly, though.
Right.
There's not a big tear down. The stars aren't on their last legs in any sense. They should be one of the favorites next year.
Yeah, get to the dance is really the most important thing.
Well, yeah,
that's what I've learned the most.
That's the thing. I could see them being another 90-win team next year, but once they get in, no one's going to want to face them in the postseason, given the success and experience that they had this year. Now, the magic could all be gone. They could lose 2 road games and it's done.
Yep.
Totally different equation next year. But, it was a fun conversation. All right, before we get to our rabbit hole with Woodsy, let's get some headlines with Paulie. And get things started here with our today's edition of the Reindl Report.
Now tuned into the greatest.
Welcome to the Reindl Report with Paul Reindl.
Hi, Paul.
All right.
2 stories from the world of sports that we haven't gotten to yet.
We'll start off in Major League Baseball.
And 1 story that you didn't know you needed.
Are you laughing, biatch?
It's the Reindl Report.
Hey, Paul, how you doing?
Okay, how are you?
On 97.3 The Fan.
Are you ready to bless the mood? I need some help, please.
That was good.
Can I get a oh yeah? Oh yeah.
All right.
All right. Where to start today? Gentlemen, how about some conspiracy theories and sports? Our friends over at the Dan Lebitard show making some waves yesterday.
They're just asking the question.
They're just asking the question. In fact, let's just play you said question when talking about Aaron Rodgers in the NFL.
Is it crazy to wonder if he never actually tore his Achilles?
Not at all. No.
Like, what if he just, because is a doctor going to come out and say he's a liar? I mean, there is benefit on a war on medicine. There's benefit here in saying, you know what?
That is
we saw it
great
snap.
theory. We need to know.
We saw it snap.
It looked like
I mean, I've seen people get shot in movies that don't actually get shot.
You don't know.
No, you wear a prosthetic thing. Someone pushes,
I don't know what's real on the internet
anymore.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Aaron Rodgers,
the theory
didn't actually get hurt.
He got hurt, but maybe it wasn't as severe. Is that what they're saying?
So no, to prove he knows more than
about
doctors, he faked his injury so he could come back heroically faster than anyone has ever come back before.
Maybe he was hurt, but it wasn't a season long.
I mean, you saw the thing snap like an accordion or whatever,
we
a
saw
guitar
it, I think.
string in his leg on the opener. Don't think he faked that.
Nor do I. I don't think he faked
Now,
it.
did you see the...
I bet Aaron Rodgers loves a conspiracy.
No doubt.
So when he said, we talked about it yesterday when he talked to Derwin James, was it? Like, they have the same agent, I'll be back in a few weeks. And then he was on Pat McAfee yesterday, and he said, well, we're just talking. It's a few fortnights before I return. A fortnight is 2 weeks.
2 weeks. So it's like 6 weeks.
Usually commonly talked about with Wimbledon as a fortnight. The Olympics are a fortnight.
Unless he means the video game Fortnite, which I think those games only last like 20 minutes
So
around.
he could be back in like an hour and a half if that's
Maybe.
the case. Christmas Eve seems like that's 6 weeks. So that would be 3 fortnights from now. They play the Washington Commanders on Christmas Eve, and I think that would be their third to last game of the season. You could argue that even if they're under 500, if they win the last 3, they might still be able to sneak in the playoffs at that point.
Does it just say, I mean, if he's going to come back and they're way out of the playoff race, do they even let him come back? I mean, I'm sure he calls the shots. So, I mean, does he...
Yeah, they let him do whatever he wants to do.
Do you even want to come back? I think you do.
If you're a team, no, you don't want... You don't
If you're
want,
the team,
do
you don't
not
want
rush
to.
him back
No.
if you can't make the playoffs. If you're Aaron Rodgers, you may have put so much pressure on yourself to come back that you have to show that you can, and he'll force his way into the starting lineup.
Yeah, makes sense. Well, it'll be interesting to see. What did he last? 4 plays?
4 plays.
4 plays.
All right. In the NFL, we'll keep it right there. I was on my phone yesterday afternoon, and I got a push notification from ESPN. And I get a lot of those notifications. I don't usually open the stories. They pretty much sum it up right there. This one, had to read it. The first paragraph from ESPN.com says, linebacker Blake Martinez, who retired from the NFL during the 2022 season, so last year, and later was involved in a Pokemon card scandal that got national attention, joined the Panthers on Tuesday as a member of the practice squad. So he's not playing this weekend, most likely. He's just on the practice squad.
He retired to do Pokemon.
Yeah, he was always fascinated with trading cards and all of that stuff. It became, I guess, a side hustle for him that he wanted to devote all of his time and attention to. So he retired from the NFL. He played for the Raiders last season. He retired in November, in the middle of the year, announced his decision to leave. And turns out this company that he was working with or running for selling and trading Pokemon cards, they were totally scamming people.
Were they making like counterfeit cards? Are these even real cards or are they digital cards now?
I think they're real
They're
cards.
still real
They're
cards.
still
Yeah.
real cards. Were they like forging cards, like fake baseball cards? That's happened in the past.
CNBC called it a side hustle that, according to documents obtained by their organization, brought in more than $8.3 million in revenue. One card was so rare it sold for almost $700,000. He sold his cards on a online website called Whatnot, which is like an online social marketplace. And he was permanently removed from the site back in August after he was accused of scamming buyers. And that has all gone away, and now he's back in the NFL.
Yeah, it's second chances for everyone, I guess.
I'm always skeptical of anything that people tell us have value, but doesn't have any intrinsic value. Like a Pokemon card or even a baseball card. You know, when people pay $800,000 for a Willie Mays card or something, it's still just a little piece of cardboard with a picture on it. It really is. You're assigning value to it. Cryptocurrency. When everyone was telling us, oh yeah, this is tons of value.
Crypto bros are coming after you.
You're dead.
Don't-
You're dead.
I have
You're
nothing
dead.
to
Can
do
you
with
dump
this.
It? Dump it.
This
dump
is
it.
all him.
Dump it.
Are we
dump
still
it.
Sam Bankman-Fried fans?
Dump it.
Going to be
dump
spending
it.
some time in jail,
Dump it,
I believe.
Dump it. He's dead.
We're dead.
We're dead. Our
You're-
show's
you're-
canceled.
you're
Thanks
a
a lot,
dead
man.
man.
We were doing good. Now we're not.
Appreciate you, Ben.
That was awesome. No, listen, I love to collect. I collect things. But I collect things that are of value to me.
Yep.
Right? The signed stuff that I have, I don't look at it as, oh, God, I'm going to be able to flip this one day and make a lot of money. I have things in my possession that I have collected, rare albums. You know, there's only 100 of these albums that I have, and I own one. I'm not thinking, oh, Bo and Taylor can cash in on this one day. It makes me feel good. That's why I collect things. That's why I've bought autographs. That's why I have certain things that I value. It's for me. It's for me to look at. It's for me, my David Bowie signed picture.
I've gotten autographs. I've paid for autographs.
Yeah, I would never.
I've never sold something. Though.
I would never give those up because I look behind me and I go, David Bowie's hand touched that. That means something to me. Johnny Cash's hand touched this. That means something to me. Jim Morrison.
No, but does it mean enough to enough people that creates the value? Because it only creates value when a lot of people believe that it means something. When
it's extremely rare.
When a lot of people believed cryptocurrency was valuable, it was really valuable.
Still going.
When they stopped believing it became less valuable. And you can't really control that. Like a house is a place you can live. And that's going to have some value to people. You know, the market will go up and down, but that house will always have some value because you can put your stuff there and you can put a bed there, you can sleep there. Has value as a real thing.
They said Blake was keeping and hiding cards his followers actually won in
their auctions.
So they just
well, that seems like a bad scam. I mean,
they're going to get
a couple
you.
bad reviews. Yeah, I bought this card and they never sent it to me. They just kept my money. You're not going to get a lot of repeat customers that way.
Yeah, fade ban on crypto. Somebody's saying here. Yep, exactly.
All right, gentlemen. Do you care to get a little zen?
Yes.
With me right now?
Yes.
Okay.
Love zen.
Scrolling around this morning, and I found this video. We're going to play the audio. The shoe company Asics, they hired a poet named Charlie Cox to engineer a poem that will put you in a better mood. She got over 40,000 submissions of people sharing what inspired them to get active. And not necessarily, I mean, obviously it's a they're running a shoe company, but more just like motivated. Get up, get out of bed, get off the couch, whatever you're doing, get up and go kind of a thing.
Sure, I need this actually.
She also hired a music producer to create an instrumental to play behind the poem. It's like an ad.
Okay.
They like scientifically got in there. It's at 111 hertz frequency, which is supposed to help produce endorphins when you hear it.
Okay.
And they say they've created a poem that will put you in a better mood and inspire you to get up, get going, start your day, whatever you got to do, just by hearing it.
There once was a man from Nantucket.
Honestly, ever since Paulie said poet and Asics, I've just been trying to come up with a good word that rhymes with Asics.
You can't.
Poet goes, I see London, I see France,
right.
I see Ben's
underpants.
No, let's bring the music down.
All right, here we go. I turn the lights off in here.
Right, maybe close your eyes if you're listening. Don't do that while you're driving.
Right.
If you got noise-canceling headphones, plug them in. Here we go.
It can feel gloomy in here. The overwhelm, the sleepy sludge. Fighting off the thought of just for a day giving up. Screaming, give me a break. Why can't waking up be enough? Breaking up with faking thoughts of everything is fine, thanks. Because it's not. Being human is tough. I need time to show myself some love. I want to shake my body until it releases tiny voices that sing songs my head can shake off. I want to bathe in the commotion. I want to become the very notion of a transformation. I am every ounce, stretch and bounce of feeling. I am the crowd of my mind's elation, showing myself with every minute that what I never thought possible, even this morning, will keep on shifting. With the bass thump of my heart, with the pace of my feet, all of this meets. In my mind, nothing feels better than this brilliance, than this healthy, empowered, committed moment.
How do we feel?
Did nothing for me.
Yeah, I'm not really a poetry guy, I don't think.
I love poetry. But
Why did they
that
have she had that British accent going?
She's probably British.
Well, probably, yeah. That's all I could really hear was the accent.
You're not a quote guy, a poems guy?
No.
I am so love words, right? I saw a quote the other day that
2 roads diverged in a woods.
Yeah, I chose the one less traveled. This quote, I don't know who said it, but it blew my mind. Literally, like honestly, it said, this is what motivated me the other day. The magic you're looking for is in the work you are avoiding. And
You sold posters with that on it at some point, probably. Yeah.
Screaming bald eagle behind it. The magic you're looking for is in the work you're avoiding. And I went, well, that pretty much explains everything that I'm lacking in my life, health-wise, parental-wise, marriage-wise, work-wise. The magic you're looking for is in the work you're avoiding. Sometimes a quote hits home. That poem did less than nothing for me, but that quote I've been thinking about for a week, and I went,
Got me
wow.
a little. I guess I could maybe start to sense a little bit of the because it was very slow, a little ominous,
The
and
voice-
then it picked up.
The voice surprised
got
me a
halfway
bit in the
through.
end. It's gloomy outside. It did throw me up. The rain is pouring down amongst your feelings. Get off the couch and think about it a little bit. It did dome me out a little
What
bit.
work are you avoiding, though, that the magic is in?
A lot of it.
You are avoiding things.
Yeah. I mean, when, the sometimes you question yourself as a parent, a husband, a coworker. Yesterday was the day I avoided the work. I did. I didn't have it in me. I called Paulie and I just go, I got nothing. I have literally nothing. I was out of gas. And so the magic that, I was avoiding the work, so there's not going to be much magic. So it just, I think we all do.
I have been avoiding my latest Odyssey awareness training online video, but I don't feel like
crushed
there's
that.
any magic in that.
Well, it's just something you got to do. It's just one of those have to
but
do's.
there's not magic in all the work you're avoiding all the time.
No, but if you're looking for magic, there's a way to get it. Stop avoiding the work. Right?
I feel like I should avoid work more often.
Yeah, it's true. That's true.
Honestly, I think I need to lean into the avoidance of work more.
The work-life balance. But
Yeah.
I loved that quote, and not so much that
You
poem.
put in some work last night. Well, I mean, you went down a rabbit hole on the internet. But
Yeah,
you
I sat
call it
on my
work.
ass and
You then
read.
call it work because you repurpose it for our radio show the next morning,
It's
which I
true.
love. It's been a while, but we used to call it Woodsy's Wednesday Rabbit Hole.
Well, we'll bring it back now that
Baseball season's over.
Well, that baseball season's over, and now that the days are 28 hours long, I feel like I have a little more time. The kids go down a little earlier. I've got time for myself.
Get to that coming up. First, Green Day tickets in our next segment, so do not go away. Your chance to win concert tickets at Petco Park right after this check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan. Anybody hearing anything out of the general managers meetings this morning in Scottsdale?
Not a thing.
Yeah, pretty quiet right now. Now, we expected that. We warned you. You don't get a lot of big business done transaction-wise during the general managers meetings. They're just a prelude to the winter meetings that aren't until next month in Nashville this year. Remember, they were here last year. That was fun. We got to go down to the convention center, Marriott,
The
do
winter
our
meetings,
show.
yeah.
The winter meetings. That was fun last year. They really should be here every year. Do you think that they're all would rather go to the Opryland Hotel
cold in
or
Nashville, I would
rather
imagine.
come to San Diego every winter?
I think here is you should do
They
everything.
have to be like fair and moving around or something. I don't know.
It's
Right
like
now-
having kids.
Obviously, a lot's going to change in the next month. It'll be out there in Nashville, but right now it's currently 80 degrees.
Oh God! All
in
right, it's not
Nashville.
cold at all. It's
Okay.
perfect. Okay.
They did introduce Craig Counsell, I believe, as new manager of the Cubs yesterday. Did they do official? Was it a press conference or just some? He did some interviews and
Like a
answered
statement,
some
I thought.
questions. Said he was ready for a new challenge in taking the Cubs job. And Jed Hoyer talked a little bit about how hard it was to fire David Ross. That's tough. That's got to be one of the tougher things. I've never really been in management. And I'm sure it's not easy to fire someone who's not doing a very good job. But when you have to fire someone who really downsized and you're a terrific employee, but we got to let you go.
Yeah.
That's got to be the worst.
Probably
And
easier than firing someone.
maybe you can say nice things and just say it's not my choice.
not
I
really
would
my
have
decision.
kept you. But
Yeah.
it was Jed's decision.
Yep, it was. And to tell somebody else, there's somebody better than you. There's somebody better than you that's going to make a buttload more money than you made.
Yeah, can't avoid it in this case.
Yeah. The new challenge bit is pretty funny from Craig Counsell. I mean, they're paying you how much a year? $8 million? Yeah, that's the new challenge. Was how do I spend $8 million a year? That's the new challenge.
I mean, it's not like Craig Counsell. Well, after winning all those world championships
Right.
in Milwaukee, I'm ready for a new challenge. Not really. I mean, your playoff success in Milwaukee was just about zero.
But getting there was
impressive, no doubt. But I mean, is Craig Counsell the best manager in baseball? He's the highest paid manager. Would you say
not.
he's the best manager in baseball?
No.
Top 5?
Maybe.
Maybe a lot. I mean, the quote yesterday was the old Bear Bryant quote. He'll beat you with his, and he'll take yours and beat you with yours, which is
Ooh, I like
which is
that.
great.
That's a good
yeah,
quote.
it's
Now,
a
that's
great,
a motivational
it's
quote.
a great quote. Like he'll take your guys and beat you with them, and he'll take our guys and beat you with them. I mean, he's very, very highly respected. I'm surprised. I'm very surprised, and I
don't think that's true in baseball at all.
No, nor do I.
There's no manager in the history of the game who can take one team and I'll take my team to the World Series title, and then you give me the last place team. I'll take that team to the World Series too.
Yeah, what would Boch do with the Royals? You know what I mean? I mean, would they be better? Yeah, maybe. Maybe they'd be a little bit better, but I don't think they're winning the World Series.
By the way, Boch had a lot of really bad teams that played really badly. Not just with the Padres. Giants, he had some bad teams that he didn't do anything with as well. I mean, there's no magic. And the magic is getting an extra 3 or 4%, maybe 5% out of your team as a manager. It's not turning a bunch of stiffs into a world champion.
He's I mean, Lou Brown is the only one that has ever done that. You know what I mean? So I do feel that Craig Counsell is a good manager. I am surprised that Steve Cohen didn't throw him, well, what are they paying you? 8? All right, we'll give you 10. I mean, for them to go with Carlos Mendoza, a relatively unknown quantity, is a little bit odd to me, but that was
especially because it doesn't go against your luxury tax or anything.
Right.
You can pay what you want for your manager. They could have gotten anyone. Now, maybe Counsell said, I won't do it for 10.
He might have used it.
I want to be near Milwaukee. Still, Chicago's close enough. So don't really know what was offered behind the scenes.
No, you made a good point earlier. We probably won't know anything till these meetings are finished. The meetings finish tomorrow. Is that right?
I think so.
So, yeah, maybe Friday at the earliest.
Yeah.
For a Padres new manager.
Right.
Okay.
We do know there are plenty of concerts coming to Petco Park, including one featuring Green Day next September on the 28th. Tickets go on sale Friday, 10 a.m. at Ticketmaster.com, but we've been giving them away all week, and it's time to give away another pair. Call now. Be the fifth caller, 833-288-0973. Paulie will pick you up during the break, and we will give away another pair of Green Day tickets to Petco Park. Again, you can get yours this Friday at 10 a.m. at Ticketmaster.com. Head down. So give us a little tease on the rabbit hole. I know cannibalism is involved.
I mean, Jeffrey Dahmer before Jeffrey Dahmer. Jeffrey Dahmer of the Wild West. I don't know how I got here, but I got here.
Not fictional, real.
Real. It's a real
Not Hannibal
person.
Lecter. We're talking a real person.
Real
that
person.
I've never heard of.
One of the deadliest serial killers this country has ever seen.
Wow. All right. That's coming up next with Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Final segment of Bennett Woods on a Wednesday, more than halfway through the week. We did get a winner for our Green Day tickets during the break. Congratulations to Paul.
Dan
the man.
Dan.
Wins the
Congratulations,
tickets. We'll have another pair to give away tomorrow on the program if you didn't win today. All right, let's check traffic. When we come back, we're going to settle in. Woods is going to take us down a serial killer. Probably not your first serial killer rabbit hole, but
No,
one I
definitely
have
not.
never even heard of before in my life.
Yeah, this surprised me too. This was kind of a hidden story.
Okay, coming up after traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Just a few things wrapping up our morning drive. Collision on northbound 125 past Hamish. All those vehicles are in the center divide. Also westbound 52 past the 125. Crash blocking the slow lane. Up ahead, West 52 at the South 163 transition. Watch out for a stalled car over the right shoulder. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
It's perfect. It's perfect music. We don't have my Woodsy's rabbit hole intro anymore because we haven't done it in a while. That being said, every now and then I will go into the deep, dark pockets of the internet. And I don't know what led me to this story about Levi Boone Helm, one of the, it's like an American gunslinger. We always hear the stories, Ben. Of course, Tombstone made famous Wyatt Earp, Doc Holliday. You know, you think about Jesse
Billy
James,
the Kid.
Billy the Kid, all those great stories that you hear from those gunslingers back then. This one took a little bit of a turn that I was not expecting. They call him, Ben, the Kentucky Cannibal. Levi Boone Helm. Came from a fairly well-to-do family in Kentucky, but he always was a bit of a troublemaker. He was very strong, loved to engage in gunfights and things of that nature. And then he got married at the age of 20. He drank a lot. He beat up his wife. The father of his wife tried to pay him off to go away, to cover it up. He ended up going broke. Levi Helm ended up setting out west, Ben, in search of gold. And that was what he wanted to do.
So is this like the 1850s, or what are we talking about here?
I will tell you that information. It's 1828.
Okay, early 1800s.
Is when he was born. So, yeah, probably right around 1848.
Near the California Gold Rush days.
He headed out west, and they hit some... He was with a group of people. And they hit a rough patch, some rough weather. So rough, in fact, the winter was coming upon them. And one of his compatriots said, I've had enough, and ended his own life. And it was then that Levi Helm decided, well, I don't know that I'm going to make it through. So I'm going to eat him. I'm going to eat his leg.
Donner Party
style. So here's what he said. Here's what this article says. He stayed at the spot and, like a hyena, preyed upon the dead body of his companion. He ate one leg of the body and then, wrapping up the other in a piece of old shirt, threw it across his shoulder, started on further east. He had declared before this on the march, he had told his party, I have engaged in cannibalism before. I'll do it again if necessary. So if you go down, know that I'm planning on eating you for survival. This then became a thing for him. He was, in fact, a cannibal, Ben, and he boasted like 40 kills over the next few years. I was really surprised when I read this story about this guy that we haven't seen, a real feature film type. Seems to be an interesting character. Maybe is that the most taboo subject that you could do?
Well, they did have Alive. It was a movie about the soccer team and plane crash in South America.
Yeah. There was a quote from himself ascribed to him. He says, about him. He was bad. Nothing in the world could ever have made him anything but bad. He was by birth and breeding low, coarse, cruel, animal-like, and utterly depraved. And for him, no name but ruffian can fitly apply. He was hung, sentenced to death by hanging. His last words were, kick away, old fellow. My turn next. I'll be in hell with you in a minute. Every man for his principles. Hooray for Jefferson Davis, President of the Confederate States. Let her rip is how he went out of this great plane. But Levi Boone Helm, there's pictures of him and everything. creepy as it gets. There's a movie. They're making a movie about him. It's a pretty low budget type deal. It's called Boone, based on the real life chronicle of America's first serial killer, Boone Helm, the Kentucky cannibal, and his last days. And 2 lawmen tracked him down in Virginia City, Montana, in January of 1864.
Anthony in the chat says the Donner Party had to do it to survive.
The team in Alive had to do it.
Yeah,
to
it
survive.
sounds as though this was a little more of the recreational cannibalism that we frown upon generally in decent society. Could you though? I mean, if it was life or death and you had to, you would rather
your calves
eat
absolutely
my calves than die.
Correct. Yeah, no problem. None. I love meat.
You have a survival instinct. Do you meat? Yeah.
I don't have a survival
I'm
instinct.
not 100% grass fed, but you know.
Could you? I could.
Ooh, that would be tough. That would be
Brussels sprouts or Ben's calves. I'm going with Ben's calves.
A tough one. Well, there he is on our chat.
Levi Boone Helm. He's in our chat?
He's in our chat right now.
Is he a paid subscriber?
Just joined our membership.
See you on the members feed. Levi Boone Helm. God,
Tier
dude, look at his eyes.
He's tier 1 dinner.
He's terrifying. Terrifying human
Now, that
being.
looks like a photograph. Did they have photographs
They
back
did.
that far ago?
They did. Yeah, they did.
I guess there's
Good
like Civil
Lord.
War.
That guy ate
before
his,
the Civil War.
I like that he ate one leg and he's like, well, I'm just going to sling this other one over my
mean,
shoulder.
If you eat the first one and it's like, all right, this is decent. It's better than being hungry. At that point, why not just keep going?
I don't
you're
know.
a cannibal forever now. You've eaten another person. So you might as well just finish the leg. I mean, there's no waste not, want not, they say.
Correct. Yeah, whatever you have to do to survive. But yeah, America's first real cannibalistic serial killer, Levi Boone Helm. Got me kind of creeped out in my bed last night. It was very dark.
Is it Boone is his middle name, or is he Boone Helm? Is
It's
one name?
Levi Boone Helm, but they call him Boone Helm.
Boone Helm.
Yeah, Boone Helm. Creepy,
and where did
right?
you run across this story?
I don't even know. I don't even know.
That's what makes it a rabbit hole.
I don't know how I got there.
You may not even be looking for anything of the like, and
I'm
all of
not-
a sudden you're reading about. I did that with a Mongolian death worm the other day.
You did?
Yeah. Do you want me to do a mini
Please,
Mongolian
yes.
death worm? Yeah, it was.
I don't have Mongolian mini deathworm music.
That's true.
Sorry. Well, the good news. Apparently, the Mongolian death worm is it's a cryptid, or it's believed to be like a creature like the Loch Ness monster or Bigfoot. That it's widely believed to exist by people in the Gobi Desert, but it's said to be this large worm that travels like under the sand. You can see the sand like moving, but it's so deadly that even getting like near it is instantly fatal. Like it can like spray some sort of poison, like touching it, you're dead immediately. It doesn't even have to bite you. It's like that instantly fatal, the Mongolian death worm.
Where is it?
In the Gobi Desert of Mongolia. Now, scientists have gone on, like they've looked for the Loch Ness Monster and Bigfoot to try to find a Mongolian death worm, and no reputable scientist has ever actually encountered this.
They all died.
Well, possibly, but there is the legend that does exist of the Mongolian death worm in the Gobi Desert.
It is interesting what you find yourself, where the paths lead sometimes. And I could picture a movie being made about Levi Boone Helm, certainly. But again, like, how do you, like, did you guys see The Revenant?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it was
With
so
Leo?
it was so graphic, and you're like, geez, but now we're talking about eating somebody's leg would just be gnarly to show.
Where would you start? Leg, obviously.
Where would I start?
Yeah. I mean, that seems like the most palatable part.
Yes, like a chicken leg.
Right.
I love chicken legs.
I mean, usually we eat chicken breast. I don't know what like breast meat would be like.
Human breast meat. Well, we've devolved. I don't know. I don't know what to say.
Thigh. Thigh's always tasty.
Your calves.
Yeah, that would be more like the drumstick. Big old meaty drumstick
so thick
right
and
here.
Tough though. Dark meat, yeah. I'd be into that. Yeah,
We don't really have wings, so I don't know. Arms wouldn't be much.
Wings.
Buffalo arms.
Buffalo arms. Oh, it makes me
you roll that in
sweat.
buffalo sauce. Everything's pretty.
It makes me
decent.
sweat. Yeah, Ben's calves could feed a nation. That's true. That's true. They really, really could. That's it. That's all I got, man. Levi Boone Helm. Look him up. Very, very creepy.
Great
dude.
story.
Yeah, very. He's very, very creepy.
It's been quite long enough to take us to the end of the show, unfortunately.
It's been an interesting show today.
It has been a little all over the place.
Got a group chat with my basketball team. A couple guys catching up on the show. Somebody 20 minutes ago said, could have used without Ben's earwax story from this morning. That was not the way I wanted to start my day. And then somebody else goes, oh, just wait until Ben talks about his lack of manscaping.
Yeah, it's been
And then in hour number 4, cannibalism.
Well, I'll just update you then, since it was 24 hours ago where we were talking about the my Shakespearean tweet, and then we tweeted out booger instead to see if it would get more traction. I am officially at 171 likes for my tweet that just says booger from yesterday. At the end of the show.
That was the most engagement you've had in a while.
It's a good tweet, yeah.
It was.
It's a great tweet.
Sometimes you just have to go with it.
So, Benji Gill, next manager of the Padres, huh?
It's Benjamin
Gil
is the potential next manager of the San Diego Padres. I wish that we would get an answer sooner than later. Now, I'm off Monday and Tuesday, so I'm fully expecting it to happen Sunday night or Monday.
That would be what would happen if I was off, for sure.
That's true. This is a good chance for you to turn the tides on me. We can spin the Tier 1 topic wheel, Paulie. Get a caller on the line. It's been like 5 days since we've done it.
Or we just spin it for us.
Spin it for us.
If
Either
we don't
one.
have a caller.
I mean, I like
if you
to
want to call in,
audience.
833-288-0973. We do have like 5 minutes left. Like we can't just coast to the finish line at this point. So let's open up the topic wheel. Let's get a caller on the line. We can spin it now.
We'll start with one.
You'll start with one to prime the pump, as it were, and answer a couple questions before the end of the show here.
Needs a little grease.
Wheel sounds a little janky today.
Why?
This is an easy one for all of us. What does the ideal sandwich look like?
Ooh, that's not easy. It's not an easy one at all.
Does it look like a hot dog?
No, it does not look like a hot dog. The ideal
I
sandwich?
had a sandwich yesterday, and it was fairly ideal. I love a sandwich. I love squaw bread, that dark brown bread that's really good.
Now
for
we have
sandwiches.
to start. I love Paulie. I love a
Say that again.
bread.
But
Say it again.
Say I like.
And then I'm not a huge turkey breast guy. I prefer the Italian meats, like a mortadella and a salami, and then put it like
the freaking gabagool.
The gabagool.
Yeah, and then some lettuce, tomato, onion, the oil and vinegar on top. I don't like mayo on my sandwiches, so that gives it the moisture. And then, some cheese. Obviously, you can go with a provolone or a pepper jack. Will work just fine for me either way. But that's pretty much my ideal sandwich right there.
I go a bunch of different routes, man. I get a different sandwich almost every time I'm at Jersey Mike's, depending on.
Really?
Sometimes
You
I
don't
go
have a go-to?
No, sometimes I go with the ham and provolone. Sometimes I go with the turkey. Sometimes I go with the tuna. Sometimes I go with the chicken cheesesteak. I mean, I mix it up all the time at Jersey Mike's. So my ideal sandwich, you really have to catch me on the right day to ask me what I'm like today. Today would probably be a turkey breast day on whole wheat with light lettuce, a little mayo, a little spicy mustard, and I get oil and vinegar on the side so that I can dip it in the vinegar because sorry, I love you guys. You know that. But you guys put too much oil and vinegar on there. Saturated.
I do like wheat bread.
Wheat bread?
I'm a club sandwich guy.
Love club sandwiches.
Really? That
Paulie.
extra layer of bread in the middle doesn't bother you sometimes?
I like a you can hold it in your hand. It's not too big for your mouth. It's just perfect. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like sometimes they get too big and the bread is too toasted.
I feel like
strictly Jersey Mike's, my go-tos are, I do like the chicken cheesesteak. I like the number 13. It's a lot, though, the Italian.
It's a lot.
A lot of different meats.
I used to do the 13, but there's so much meat on it. I've scaled back to the 4, which is like 2 of the meats of the 13, and it's better. It's more
I
satisfying.
like the Cali Club. Slice of bacon, a little avocado.
I don't need bacon on my sandwich.
I need avocado on my sandwich.
I like avocado.
Stop putting avocado on everything. Tasteless. It's not.
Interesting.
It's one of my hottest food takes. I get roasted for it every time, but I just do not enjoy it.
Bold.
It is
San
bold
Diego.
to say in San Diego where they put it on everything.
All right, let's bring on Brad and get a Tier 1 topic wheel. Brad, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, gentlemen. How are we doing?
All right, you know how this works. It's the fate of the wheel now. What question we're going to be answering? Paulie is spinning away here. Brad, you'll get to answer
WD-40
first
does
here.
wonders.
All right. By the way, mortadella sandwich.
Mortadella, perfect. Love it.
Delicious.
Oh, God. Yes, could be.
We'd skydived on my daughter's 30th birthday. 8 of us went out with a little Mountain Dew kid hung onto your back. It was wonderful.
What is a Mountain Dew kid?
You know the little adventure seeker guys, you know?
Oh, yeah.
You know, they got a beard and the disheveled hair, and they snap onto you, and off you go.
So you did a tandem.
Tandem jump, yeah. That's
Did a tandem jump, yeah. You
So
just went out the
they don't
plane
let
and
you go down by yourself the first time because they don't want you to
No.
panic and not pull the chute.
How did you do?
We did fine. You had to go through 21 screens and approve and approve and approve, and then the owner comes on and says, "You may die. You still want to do this?" So you hit the button, yes. So it was fun. We went out. It was watching my daughter go out the plane first. I thought, whew, she just disappeared.
Oh my
God! It is a rush. It's a rush.
I-
And then the little Mountain Dew guy gets in my ear. We're 5,000 feet. He pulls the chute. We go up and he leans in and he goes, "It worked this time."
Oh God, what a bastard, dude! Don't
Comedy,
make this worse.
comedy skydiving.
Don't make this worse.
It's like comedy
on me.
traffic school.
Yeah,
but it's
yeah.
comedy
Do not-
skydiving.
I honestly, bro, Paulie,
You're like free falling. It's going, where is that
Where's that
ripcord?
ripcord? You're like,
Somewhere
bro, I
around
would
here.
panic.
I know we brought it with us.
I honest to God, I have to say neither. I will never
Well,
do either of them.
I'm neither, but I clearly, if I had to do one of the two, skydiving over bungee jumping any day of the week. But bungee jumping,
I feel like I'll break my
is
neck.
absolutely terrifying to me.
It looks horrible.
Terrifying.
dude.
The fact that you're so close to the ground just makes it even worse. I'd rather at least know I'm a long way from the ground at this moment.
The end where you bounce back up.
Oh.
I'm like, how does that not kill
None of
you?
that seems
How do you not-
pleasant or fun at all.
How do you not like wrench your neck?
I would enjoy the view of skydiving at least, as terrified as I was, getting to see everything. You don't even get that bungee jumping. You're just looking down in like some ravine that you're going down. It's
with metal up,
horrible.
like metal
Jumping off a
Yeah.
bridge.
embankment above you.
It's horrible. I can't understand why anyone would ever want a bungee jump.
It's weird. Like skydiving is on. It's like a bucket list item for me, which is bizarre because my biggest fears are I don't like flying and
heights.
like planes, and I don't like heights. But why do I want to jump out of a
I don't
plane?
like the feeling
I don't
of falling either. It's never pleasant. You ever start falling and go, "Wow, this is fun!
This is a
I'm
blast."
falling."
The ride up would kill me. It would put you'd have to hit me over the head with a hammer and then be like,
Janky
"Hey,
little plane.
time to jump." Forget it. Whatever you want to call me, I will wear it. I'm not doing it. So quit asking. I'm not going to do either.
I'm not going to. So quit asking.
My wife did it for her 30th. I took her, paid for it.
She did?
And, yeah, and she loved it. And I said,
Skydiving.
Yeah. I waited on the ground. I almost asked my pants watching her like come to the ground. I was like, this is terrible.
I'm always worried if I'll get on one of those reality shows where you have to do it
Forget
like to
it.
advance. It's like I hope my partner gets that
Forget
one.
it.
So
Forget it. I have no desire. None whatsoever.
because the peer pressure would be intense at that point.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you can win $1 million, but you get a bungee jump.
No,
It's like,
I'm out.
I don't know.
I can't do it, man. It's not for me. I started to sweat thinking about both of them, so I like being at home, looking on the internet.
Well, if news does break, it always happens at 10:01. So Coach will have you covered here in a couple of minutes. And we'll be back at 6 a.m. to react to anything that happens with the Padres or otherwise tomorrow. But that's it for us today. For executive producer, imaging director Paul Reindl, for Stephen Woods, I'm Ben Higgins. Have a great rest of your Wednesday from all of us here at San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. So long.